45 this morning.
Yeah, Jim, in fact, you were talking about the winds. Let's go to our Doppler winds, and you can really see this. I mean, as soon as I pull this up, my goodness, this is, when we talk about looking for this tornado, looking for the storm, I mean, really, you can see that, right? Your eye is drawn right to that, and that's where your tornado warning, that's why you have that tornado warning in place. We call that the velocity couplet, and that is when you have those two winds going one toward and one away from the radar site, and that's what we're finding here. I'm going to let them adjust the lights here for our BAM, but really you see that really bright pink that's moving right into Crawford County as we speak, about to hit Highway 19 here shortly.
And Anthony, so I'm on mic one here. So they have activated the sirens here in Sullivan. So again, in Sullivan, you want to take cover immediately.
Yeah, and Oak Hill is the first place that's going to get hit. So
right,
Sullivan, you still have a little bit of time, but Oak Hill, Route 19, if you live near Route 19, north of 44, you need to be in your safe place right now. You need to get into your safe place immediately because that's what we have. I'm going to ask my director to adjust this light here that's off to the side just for our purpose here of seeing. Thank you so much.
So it's near Cuba right now, moving east at about 40.
So there's Cuba, and it's right about here. Whenever you see those green and red couplets meeting up against each other, that's the wind blowing toward and away. It's how you measure the tornado. And I wish they would turn that light out, please. Keeps popping back on.
I'm going to track this
a little jarring for these early morning eyes, I tell you.
Here we go. We're going to track this also. So again, Argo about 11:15, Bourbon about 11:21 is this tornadic supercell is moving toward your area. So 11:25, St. Cloud, and then West Sullivan at 11:27 and 11:31. It's right through the Sullivan area. So again, this is moving east at about 40 miles an hour. We're looking at the Doppler winds here. Red is going away from the radar, green is toward the radar. And that couplet, again, an indicator that we are, and I'll point to it here, where it's an indicator that there is a possible tornado on the ground.
Yeah, right near Highway 19. So if you live near 19, you definitely want to get in your safe place. I'm going to head over to Weather HQ here and pull in and get a little tighter view to pull up some towns and some road names for you.
And there's been no indication that that it's on the ground at this point. It's radar indicator rotation. So again, no confirmation that it's actually on the ground yet. But you want to.
But that couplet, I mean, that's a mean-looking couplet, Jim.
It sure is. It's tightening for sure.
So let's go to our Doppler here. I'm going to turn off some of this lightning because there's so much lightning and thunder with this particular cell. And I want to get real tight. I mean, Jim, you know these tornado signatures. Look at that hook.
Hey, you can see that clearly.
You can see the hook.
Here's that hook approaching 19 right here.
Yep, and that's
in Oak Hill.
Exactly where it is, right here. So you see that hook right there, going right towards 19. So let's get a little bit tighter and show you some towns in the path or some roads here. So there's 19. If you live anywhere near Highway F, Highway CC, Highway C, Oak Hill Road, Taylor Road, 4 Mile Road, Spurgeon Road, Davis Road, any of these areas, you need to be acting quickly, get into your basement, get into your safe place. Highway 19, there's your marker down towards Cuba where 44 intersects. Spurgeon, 4 Mile. This whole area, if you're watching us from Crawford County right now.
Northern Crawford County is under the gun.
Just north of Steelville, you need to be in your safe place. This also does include a little piece here of Franklin County, which would include you in Sullivan, and also over towards Oak Hill near Highway 19. I'm getting a little feedback here in my IFP. I feel like is somebody trying to talk to us? Or
me too.
Are you okay? Sometimes our producers will get us ready to let us know if we have some sites outside or maybe a reporter on standby. So that's what we have right now. A tornado warning that's in place for Crawford County, for really much of Crawford County. It's really not for Gasconade. It's just kind of that little sliver where you see Oak Hill 19 and that little sliver, again, of parts of Franklin County, which gets you into Sullivan. But if you're watching from Highway 19, anywhere near Highway 19 north of 44, you need to act fast, get into your safe place, because again, we were talking about those velocity winds the velocity radar of how it looked, and it is really intense when it comes to the couplet that we're seeing here on the screen. I'm going to get back over to that velocity.
And Anthony, just a timing on this too,
Yeah.
again around Bourbon and Leesburg around 11:10. So you have a few more minutes here to get into your safe shelter in case this tornado is actually reaching the ground. Right now it's radar indicated, but it is moving very quickly to the east at about 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, so that gives you
northern
time in
Crawford
Sullivan,
County.
time in Bourbon, time in Leesburg, and even I would say if you're watching from Cuba, just go ahead and be safe and get in your safe place as well. But it's really this chunk here you can see from Sullivan, Bourbon, 44 north to 19. So it's this area here where your green and red meet up, and that's where you have the wind rotating in the storm. So it's right about to cross over 19, and then you've got wind ahead of it. This is all outflow. Whenever you get these storms coming in, you probably know by now, you get that really strong push of wind, right? And that's what this is here. Then you go behind it into the storm, and there's your velocity couplet. So Highway 19, if you are watching anywhere from near there, you need to act fast and get into your safe place, away from windows. Basement, the best place to be. Make sure you have your shoes on and use something, whether it's pillows, a helmet, to protect your head in the event of an actual tornado coming out of the ground, or out of the sky. And of course, throwing debris around, because that can always be dangerous to your head. That's really what you want to protect.
And so Weather Service chat, just to let you all know what's going on, Crawford County, it's again, northern Crawford County, potential funnel cloud near Indian Hills.
Okay.
Heard on scanner.
Let's see if we can get in here close.
And you can see that couplet. The green and the red where it meets there is where that potential tornado is. And again, right now, even though Franklin County, southern parts of Franklin County into Gasconade County are under the warning, but it looks like the main threat is through northern Crawford County.
Yeah. Really about Highway 19, just north of Cuba, and right about to move into Bourbon here shortly too.
All right, Storm Chaser now getting reports of power flashes, so it looks like we might have a confirmation of it on the ground. So again, northern Crawford County, you want to be in your safe shelter right now. Anywhere from Oak Hill to Sullivan and north of Cuba is where, so anywhere in northern Crawford County, Missouri, even though we do have Franklin County still underneath that warning too, just in case it kind of veers a little bit further to the north. So watching this cell move east at about 45 miles an hour.
And look at all that lightning.
With this. Yeah,
look at all of that lightning. I mean, this
intense
is an
cell.
Incredible amount of lightning that's coming up with this cell. So much that you can't even see the storm because it's covering up the radar there. But you can see, Jim, you know, we did a quick little live hit about 15 minutes ago before this thing popped up, and as soon as we finished, boom, this was issued. So this just gives you an idea of the changing conditions. They will happen rapidly today when it comes to the potential of these tornadic storms, because what we found is the dark clouds moved in, and then boom, sure enough, it didn't take long. We got this tornado warning that popped up. So again,
this
Highway 19, if you're watching from there, anywhere in Crawford County from Cuba north.
It's crossed over 19, it looks like at this point.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. You do need to be in your basement. Your safe place is what we call it. I want to go back to our velocity wind here, our velocity radar.
We're talking about this cell moving into more unstable air, and we're seeing that in southern Missouri.
Yeah, and you can see it now. I mean, it's really tightened up here just south of Oak Hill. Like you said, Jim, crossing over 19.
Right.
And that's that couplet. I'm going to go ahead and circle it here on the screen.
So northern Crawford County, again, a tornado warning in effect till 11:45. And Anthony is circling that area here where we believe that tornado is. It looks like it's crossing or has crossed 19. This Doppler radar is a few minutes old, about a minute old.
1 minute.
1 minute?
Yeah.
And again, it's approaching eventually 44. And also Bourbon, heads up, Sullivan and Bourbon, because again, that you're underneath that tornado warning until 11:45, which is at least 30 more minutes.
Yeah, so let's get a little tighter in here. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell just came in as well, and he's getting situated. So we've got our team here in place, ready to keep you safe, and hopefully you're heeding these warnings, because we've been talking about it really for the last, 2 to 3 days, how unstable the atmosphere was appearing to be. And now here we are, and sure enough, we're getting these rotating storms. So it looks like it's crossing over 19 right now.
Right, here's 19.
Yep.
Highway C.
Yep, approaching Oak Hill.
Red meets green right here.
Oak Hill
And so
Road.
here's Oak Hill Road. You want to be in your safe shelter, taking cover. Power flashes possibly, again, being reported by a spotter out in this direction. So this will be moving east very quickly. Argo, you want to be in your safe shelter. And also as it approaches Bourbon and into Sullivan. So all of this underneath that tornado warning.
And Jim, it looks like they took out the northern part of that. So Gasconade, or it looks like they're out of that.
Gasconade County, yeah, you're safe now. Gasconade County, you're clear.
But Franklin still.
Right, southern
Sullivan,
portion,
yeah,
right here.
unfortunately, the Route 185, that same area. I mean, we had two tornadoes reported
huge couplet
yesterday
right here. Yeah.
from Bourbon to Sullivan, and these are the same locations that are about to get hit hard again. And I mean, you can obviously see it. It's so well defined here.
Yeah, right
on
here,
the velocity couplet. Yeah.
So again, the wind is going away from the radar here. Radar is located up to the north. So this is going away. This is going toward the radar. So there's that spin right there. Again, probably just past 19 where they've had reports of funnel clouds. Here's the regular Doppler weather radar. And again, Oak Hill it looks like it's just south of there. But you want to be in your safe space in that area. And it's also approaching Argo and eventually Bourbon and into Sullivan.
Yeah.
So this is holding together pretty well.
Yeah, and if you know, we're getting close to lunch break. If you're watching from perhaps a business in that area and you think, oh, I got to go get lunch, I would stay off of 44 right now because the area that is warned is most likely going to see that tornado if it is on the ground cross over there here shortly. Let's go back to our velocity radar just to keep an eye on that, just because, of course, the winds change as this updates. And you can kind of see there's this really tight inflow. I mean, the green showing that really strong inflow that's coming in here in the Weather HQ, so I can show you this here.
Yeah.
And there you can see it. That's the inflow. Boom, wind going in, and then the wind circling back around. So it's right in that area. It looked like it just crossed over Highway 19. And that's that strong inflow. I mean, these colors are so bright, denoting that wind, that inflow, feeding the storm, is creating that rotation as it wraps around on the back end. And I mean, Jim, I don't know how many tornado warnings you see in your life, but that hook, that classic hook echo, is something that, you know, it's textbook. And in fact, you can see it looks like it's lost its structure a little bit.
Right.
But as we put this into motion, I mean, for a while, you could certainly see that hook. I mean, really, in the last 5 minutes, it looks like that kind of
If
almost
it's on the ground
got rain
too,
wrapped here.
Then it's over Merrimack State Park, if you know that area very well. So they're just talking about, even the park rangers are actually seeking shelter.
And it looks like we have our storm tracker out as well, out on the roads, headed down perhaps one of the interstates to get into that area. 55 south.
So they're far away.
Not on 44, so that's good. So there you can see. I mean, this thing
that's
you
tight
can really
rotation,
see how that hook has really just that inflow right there has just really tightened up here. So the tornado warning is for Crawford County right now, and that goes until 11:45. So we still have another half hour before we start to see things wind down. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning. I don't want to discount that. For parts of Gasconade County, the yellow
polygon area.
And that does include a lot of Franklin County, just west of St. Clair, and also it does include Cuba as well.
We've had reports of tennis ball sized hail on top of the potential tornado down there.
Yeah.
So that's a big issue. You want to stay inside and away from windows. Center of your home again. Anywhere in northern Crawford County, southern parts of Franklin County, you're okay in Gasconade County, taken out of the tornado warning, but again, southern portions, again, you have several minutes around Sullivan and Bourbon, but this is approaching your area. And if it's on the ground and continues on the ground, again, you want to be inside and in the center of your home and away from windows. If you have a basement, of course, you want to be there. But you can see that really tight gradient there. The Doppler velocity winds really starting to see that couplet getting even a little stronger.
Yeah, Jim, I'm trying to pull up the Cuba camera because I believe we have one. I just have to type in the right keywords here to get it to pop up and to pull that up for you because that is rolling right near that particular location. And
the Weather Service is going to hold off on confirming the tornado until they get one more report. So I'm just reading but the radar is still very supportive of a tornado as we've been showing you.
Yeah. So I'm getting a camera pulled up here from Cuba Municipal Airport, and hopefully this loads here for us and didn't go out because of the strong wind. But it looks like right now it does not want to load. So maybe it is not operating at the moment, but that was one of the resources we were going to try to show you here. But
Just checking my phone
can't
here
get in there
too.
right now.
Just wanted to show you again, anyone in northern Crawford County in Missouri here, we're seeing what looks like a tornado. We've had reports of power flashes in this area. So again, if you're in Oak Hill or Leesburg, Bourbon, Sullivan, eventually it travels east at about 45 miles an hour. So that tornado warning is in effect for southern portions of Franklin County and basically northern Crawford County. You want to be in your safe shelter there. Looks like some very strong winds going away from the radar here and then toward the radar there. Weather Service is still waiting for confirmation of this tornado. Again, we've heard reports of power flashes and again a funnel cloud, but just waiting on word of is there a distinct confirmation on this?
Yeah. And I'm looking at some of the other velocity radars here. We were looking at some of these other products, and you can kind of see how from this particular vantage point over here in the Weather HQ, the rotation seems to be a little bit more sloppy now. So you've got that Doppler wind you're showing there, and here's another velocity look at it, and you can kind of see how it's a little bit more jagged. And so this may be losing some of its characteristics when it comes to the actual rotation and the actual tornado. I do think we still have some rotation, and you can see how again it's not really well defined here anymore as it's moving eastward. Not to say that it's not on the ground, not to say that we don't have a tornado at all, but there is a good indication that there's still rotation. It just looks a little bit less organized from the last run. This is a correlation coefficient, and we show this sometimes to show you the debris that's being picked up in the storm. And so I want to just put this into motion here and see and get off the last 6 hours. Just do the last hour here. And you can kind of, you don't really see too much here. And so there may be a good indication there's not a whole lot of debris being lofted into the atmosphere. And so that is some consolation here. So let's get back to our sweeping radar, and there you can see the Doppler does show it is still raining. It's pouring in this area. So much lightning, so much thunder.
And hail, right?
Yeah, and we did have reports of hail. I want to see if we have our
and while you do that, just checking the Doppler winds again. The winds going toward the radar, about 55. And going away from the radar about 43, so that's a good 90. So we're now on.
So we have
Cuba.
a camera here, 44 at Cuba.
Near Cuba.
That's one of our traffic cameras that you see there, and it does show near Cuba what the conditions look like in that particular screen. I don't have a monitor at all, so small, and
and it does look like showing strong rotation, likely west of Bourbon, is what the Weather Service chat is now indicating.
And that's exactly what the velocity radar is showing here.
Right.
From your standpoint, it looks like it's crossed east now of Highway 19, and shortly we'll move over 44. And so there's our camera from MoDOT. It looks like it's right over 44. And what I put on here was the hail track, and I mean this thing is definitely producing some hail, and that's an indication too. A lot of times when you have hail, that you will have some kind of rotation or spin up quickly, and then perhaps it goes away. I want to get back to our velocity wind because, again, this is how you see the rotation, you see the wind, you see the spinning in the atmosphere. And I tell you what, there's definitely a between, I'd say, east of 19 and north of 44 is where you probably are getting the worst of that wind spinning up right now. And you can kind of see here, right about to go over 44. And I tell you what, so our Chief Meteorologist, Scott Connell, here on standby. Scott, it was really well defined a minute ago, and now it looks a little bit more jagged.
It may have broadened a little bit, but that rotation is still in here, and it looks like it's headed straight for Bourbon.
Yeah, and I mean, they had a tornado yesterday.
Yeah. So, and this one would be more significant, too, if it touches down.
Yeah.
Yesterday was one of those quick spin-ups.
Yeah.
Today, what we're dealing with is something that they're capable of producing larger tornadoes, stronger tornadoes, and tornadoes that last for a longer period of time. and stay on the ground for a longer period of time. Again, we haven't confirmed that there's anything on the ground, but it is headed straight for Bourbon right now.
Yeah.
And also, don't discount the hail coming out of this too. There is some large hail with this as well. So again, we're continuing to monitor this scenario playing out for you right now. The tornado warning in effect, and they just trimmed it up here. Northern portions of Crawford County, you see where it is, southern portions of Franklin County. This is going to go right along 44, probably crossing over pretty close to, one would think, the Bourbon area.
Yeah, I know we have our cameras that we've been kind of going back and forth to. If we could put our camera on at 44, we will probably see anything, whatever it is, whether it's a funnel cloud, a tornado actually on the ground, a heavy rain, lightning, and thunder. We will likely see this roll right over 44 here shortly. So there's your tornado warning, still in effect until 11:45, and that is for Crawford and Franklin County. It does include Bourbon. It does include Sullivan, same areas that got hit hard yesterday. And as Scott mentioned, stronger potential here. There's so much instability in our atmosphere, so much shear, that fancy word for spin, and that has these storms have just tapped into that, and now they're unfolding, and we're seeing it happen here right before our eyes. So that's, we have a camera here. This looks like that's over 44. This is 44 at 185, which is right near Sullivan, and it looks like it's loading there. And sometimes when you get these strong winds and heavy rain over the camera, sometimes that happens. It disrupts the signal a little bit, and so we may be having some signal issues here because of how heavy the rain's coming down, or perhaps how strong the wind is blowing. So the tornado warning does continue for that area until 11:45. Hopefully you're in your safe place now, and there are more storms that are continuing to pop up down near Perryville and Bloomsdale. You can see just south of Carbondale, a severe thunderstorm warning there, just south of that area. So these storms are riding right along a warm front with such moist, unstable air, and so as they're tapping into it, I mean, it doesn't take long for these storms to turn severe very quickly. So, severe thunderstorm warning that does include part of Franklin County, also Gasconade and over towards Crawford, but it is the tornado warn cell, the red area, the red polygon here, where you do have the worst of the storm, and it looks like it's about to cross right over Bourbon at 44 right now. So let's go back to our velocity, because I want to show you that here, as the wind is always a factor.
And Anthony, while you do that, it appears the supercell is cycling, so a new area of rotation is expected to develop further east.
Yeah, and you can see it. I mean, it almost looks like it backtracked here, because for a while the rotation was about to hit over 44, and now it looks like it's a little bit back farther towards Argo, just southwest of there. So let's circle this here for you on the map, just so you can see it clearly, right about there. So it looks like it's about to cross. You see how the loop just updated. So probably on the tail end, I see the bottom end of the storm there from 44 near the polygon. So this is 44 at Highway F, and you can certainly see the dark clouds. And I don't know, is that the tornado?
Well, no, the Weather Service is saying it could be fire and smoke plume.
Ah, okay.
So that's in Weather Service chat.
Okay.
So we're not saying that is the tornado at all.
But that's definitely something of
right.
concern. When you see it for the first time, you think, oh, wow.
Right,
okay.
Absolutely.
So that's, maybe something got struck by lightning.
Because that was pulled up on a MODOC camera. It's a great shot of likely what we're thinking is that's fire and smoke plume. No confirmation of that touchdown, but we did have some power flashes possible, and also a funnel cloud earlier. But still, if you're in this warned area, again, northern Crawford County, southern Franklin County, and that does include Bourbon, Sullivan, those areas under that tornado warning until 11:45 a.m.
Yeah.
A few more minutes.
It does look like the circulation's broadened out a little bit, but nonetheless, it's still a concerning storm. And so especially north of 44 here, as you go
north of Cuba.
Yeah, north of Cuba, north of Bourbon, north of St. Cloud along 44. You're in a very rural area where this should be tracking, which I guess that's better than being right over downtown Bourbon, but nonetheless, it's still a dangerous storm, and you need to be in your safe place right now and treat this as a significant storm. It is a significant storm. The severe thunderstorm warning up into Franklin County, Also because not only that threat of a tornado, which is right trying to move along that Franklin-Crawford County line, but the hail up in here. I mean, this hail is potentially, you know, up to golf ball size hail. So that's another concern that you have over from Japan. That, if it keeps moving in this general direction and can maintain any kind of strength, you know, we're talking Washington County, you folks in northern Washington County, and the rest, you know, of southern portions of Franklin County, you also need to be on guard and be making your plans now, especially if you live in a vulnerable, you know, you're in a mobile home, you're more vulnerable. Manufactured homes, more vulnerable. So make your plan now if you're out ahead of this storm as to where you can go. You've got a few minutes out ahead of that, but that's what we have right now, this tornado warning, northeastern portions of Crawford County and southwestern portions of Franklin County, and now the new severe thunderstorm warning that stretches across southern portions of Franklin County and into Jefferson County. That's going to be for the, actually go ahead and click on that one.
And while you guys do that, just the Weather Service confirming some hail in Bourbon. So Scotty, that was exactly what you were talking about.
Actually, let's go to Max 2.
Yeah,
that hail
didn't work out too well.
Because that's supposed to be automated, but sometimes it sends it off to its own little world.
Right, right.
So you got Max 2?
Yeah, it's over here. Yep.
Okay. So there's Max 2, and,
Yes.
and there's the circulation. You know, this is what we've been watching here, making this slide off to the east, and that's this whole spin that's now just off to the northeast of Bourbon. That's where we are looking at this, okay, right there. Right in this area here, east of Bourbon, that's where the potential tornado is, okay? Storm kind of hooking out. You're probably seeing some strong gusty winds just east of Bourbon now, and then on down to the south. That's from really the gust coming around this system, the storm wrapping in that wind. And so this is the part up here where you see that more fuchsia, more dark red. That's where you're looking at the larger hail. So that's mostly in Franklin County here, and that's sliding to the east. So that's going to be pushing off to the east. And Sullivan, you're probably going to get some hail. The hail product lags just a little bit behind on the radar screen. So that would be where the heaviest hail has been, and now it's shifting off to the east as well. And that's going to continue into southern portions of Franklin County and keep moving into Jefferson County. So that's why we have the severe thunderstorm warning that's now been issued over here into Franklin County. Still watching the circulation here as it moves along and north of 44. We'd bet the tornado would be right in here, north of Bourbon at this point, and maybe getting ready to cross 44.
Well, and Scott, I've got the velocity pulled up here, and you can actually see, we've been talking about how broad the rotation was, and right as you said it, right at 44. So that's where we've got the couplet where it's meeting up with the wind and the rain going, well, you know, the wind going towards or away from the radar. There's our velocity. And you can see it. I mean, those bright greens where the bright reds meet, right, just north of Bourbon. And there's another view of that as well. And you can see it looks like it's right about to cross over, if not already has done so, on 44, just north of Bourbon. Also West Sullivan approaching you and perhaps clipping southern portions of Sullivan when it comes to the tornado, the rotation, I should say, the warned area. But it looks as though it's really between right now Bourbon and Sullivan on 44.
Yeah, in this general area, and there will be a new downstream tornado warning. So, you know, areas farther east of this, and that's going to take us, you know, farther into northern portions of Washington County, maybe for portions of Jefferson County, we'll see as time goes on. But again, this is going to get extended here in the next few minutes. So they will be issuing a new tornado warning to cover this rotation that is right now on the south side of Sullivan and trying to move across northern portions. It'll be crossing 185, and as we know, you go down 185, that's right out of Sullivan. That's on your way to Merrimack State Park.
Yeah,
so
a lot of trees.
Yeah, a lot of trees in here. This is the Mark Twain Forest, so you have a good area that's forested here and not huge populations, but there are people that live there. And if you live there now, you need to be in your safe place. And that's going to be in the basement. If you don't have a basement available, then you're going to be inside on the lowest floor, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So there's our current tornado warning. A new one will be issued here downstream shortly for this rotation. It looks like it's just to the south of Sullivan right now. That's where we're anticipating it, just across 44, and it's moving to the east. We still don't have any confirmation at this point, but nonetheless, a very dangerous circulation continuing to move off to the east, and this is a very potent storm, the first of many that I think we're going to see before this day is done.
Yeah, there's our velocity wind as well, and you know, it looks like it's right on 44. I mean, just south of Sullivan, just south of 185. You know, and we were here early yesterday morning, about 3:45. That same area got hit hard. There were 2 tornadoes, 2 small ones that were confirmed yesterday in this same area. And so if you're watching from Sullivan, just south of there, in between Bourbon and Sullivan, you really need to be hunkered down. And as Scott mentioned, that new warning will likely be issued here as we go towards the next few minutes for parts of Washington County. So if you're watching from Richwoods or anywhere along 185, you need to get in your safe place, even though we don't have the tornado warrant for your county just yet. So what you're looking at on your screen, that's Interstate 44 near Cuba. And it seems as though the signal's working now after spinning for a minute. But man, I can tell you the visibility is low there. You can see the dark clouds. And you know, one thing I just haven't seen, Scott, we just haven't seen that typical wall cloud that you would see, you know, when these storms come through. So this is not, you know, one of those, oh, the storm comes in and blows through and you're done. I think these are going to have that supercellular type of component to them. And as Scott mentioned, you know, this is the first of many to come. You know, our atmosphere has been primed now with the heating of the day. Our numbers climb quickly up near 80 degrees. And our humidity, our dew points have been in the 50s and 60s, just south of St. Louis in this area. And so that's what you're finding is just this moist, rich atmosphere and now the storms are here and tapping into it.
Yeah, so right now, just south of Sullivan, this is where it looks like the tornado would be at this point, at least that circulation. We don't know if it's on the ground or not, but you need to be in your safe place. This will go to the east here. It will work its way into northern portions of Washington County. And you also have the very large hail, perhaps up to the size of golf balls in southern portions of Franklin County, along with some pretty intense winds in these areas as well. So again, that's where our circulation is. You see the storm kind of pushing out. It's still pouring as you go all the way down 44 towards Cuba, and you can bet there's some gusty winds in there. The timing on the actual tornado or the potential of a tornado, based on what we're seeing right now, about 11:50 in Richwoods, Bliss at 11:56. Again, that's getting over into the far western portions of Jefferson County. So you have time to prepare, especially if you're in a mobile home or a manufactured home in these areas. You need to be in more substantial shelter in this sort of situation. So either move to some place down the road where you've got friends who have a well-built home, maybe have a basement. If you don't have a basement, then you're in the lowest level of whatever building you're in. You go to the bottom floor and you put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So bathrooms, closet. We're always wearing our shoes in these kinds of scenarios because if there is damage, and we just added the lightning. Look at all that lightning in there.
It is incredible.
Tremendous amount of lightning. And the lightning to the north here in Franklin County, a very good indicator of the amount of hail that's falling out of that. So large hail up here, and that's why the severe thunderstorm warning's in effect here all the way into Jefferson County for that storm over the rest of Franklin County and into Jefferson County. Really along Highway 47, Highway 30, you're taking it over farther east. But this is our biggest concern as far as imminent danger. You know, there's not much you can do about hail. It's going to fall. Yeah. You just got to stay inside. This, you've got to take action. You've got to move somewhere. You've got to get to a safe place because that rotation, this potential tornado here, which appears to be south of Sullivan, is going to continue to move. And it may be cycling through. You see, you're getting splotches here with the velocity that's showing unique features. There's a lot of turbulence in there, and here comes that next tornado warning.
Crawford, Franklin, and Washington County until 12:15. So it's southern Crawford, or northeastern Crawford, southern Franklin, and northern Washington County. It includes Richwoods.
Okay, so that's going right where we said it would. Yeah. That's our anticipation here with this storm, and there you see the outline of it. So it's an extension of the tornado warning that's already in effect. all right, because we have this potential tornado here, strong circulation indicated by radar. The northern portions of Washington, looks like Potosi, you'll not be in this particular storm, but Richwoods, you sure will. Also think that includes Lonedale and Grubbville. Those areas here, southeastern portions of Franklin County, far western Jefferson County, you need to be in your safe place in these areas. Pea Ridge, another spot. Very rural area here. Beautiful country, hilly terrain of the eastern Ozarks. You may not be able to get a shot at it if you want to look out your window, which we don't always recommend, but say you're in Richwoods and you're going to stand outside and look to see, where is it coming? Can I see it? Here's the thing. There are so many trees down here, and with the hills, it's very difficult to see these kinds of storms coming.
And very dangerous to try and do that.
Yeah. Try to do that, yeah. You're exactly right, Anthony. So get in your safe spot now and stay there until we get this through and see if it can hold together or if it can weaken just a little bit.
Oh my goodness, I hit that button again.
So on that new warning, guys, just until 12:15, when this was put out, they said the storm with a potential tornado was near Sullivan, and it's now moving east at about 30 miles an hour, so a little bit slower than previous. And of course, that warning again, northeastern Crawford County, northern Washington County, and southeastern Franklin County until 12:15, you want to take cover. Again, radar indicated rotation, no confirmation of this actually on the ground yet.
Now, the circulation is still a little broader than it was just a bit ago. A little while ago, 15 minutes ago, it was a really tight circulation.
Oh, absolutely. When it was moving just around Route Highway 19.
And here's your hail. That's the other component to this. Very large hail, perhaps up to the size of golf balls or larger. And that may be wind-driven hail. We may have some winds in here that are running 60 to 70 miles per hour. So you also have not only hail, but the potential for wind-driven hail, which is why you stay away from windows and doors, because if you have hail that's being blown up against the windows, it can very easily shatter those windows, and then you have breaking glass, which is why you wear your shoes in this situation. So if you don't have your shoes on yet, go ahead and get them on, get ready to go, be ready to move, be ready to take action as this evolves. Tornado warning here, Crawford, eastern portions of Crawford County, southeastern Franklin County, most of far southeastern Franklin County here, and then the northern portions of Washington County. This is running until 12:15, and in addition to the tornado potential, there's also the potential for large hail, which seems to be running right along the Franklin, Crawford, and then eventually the Franklin, Washington County line. Normally, in many of these storms, what we traditionally see is that hail core kind of rides north of where the tornado would track. Tremendous amount of lightning here. Look at all of this lightning. And it goes back into mid-Missouri. So this is just the first of the waves of thunderstorms we're going to see. Now, farther to the north, this is just rain, Bowling Green, back out into Montgomery County. These are the storms of concern right now. It is more unstable as you go farther south of St. Louis. So as you get south of St. Louis, those storms seem to be following a gradient, if you will, where we're not as unstable in St. Louis as it is down here. And so that gradient or that change in instability is where these storms may just continue to track here for the next couple of hours. And that would keep them moving off to the east, maybe east, southeast, we'll see. But notice the new tornado watch also in effect for areas south of St. Louis that's going to take us into this afternoon.
Yeah, that now includes Monroe and the metro east down towards Sparta and Du Quoin as well. Scott, we were looking at the Futurecast early this morning, and it surely showed what you were just talking about, the training effect of these storms rolling over the same location. And I was talking to Jim how, growing up, you hear the sirens once, you get to your safe place. You hear them again, you think, oh, all clear. Well, I think on days like this, you may hear the sirens a few times, and it does not mean you're all clear. It just means there's a new tornado warning. And so you may get more than one tornado warning today in those areas where you do have that tornado watch box from our southern portions of our viewing area where you have that first tornado warning right now. You can see out towards Bell, just south of Jefferson City, that next wave coming in right behind it. So this is going to be one of those days where you may get hit several times. And that's why the chance of actually having a tornado is higher today, because it's not just one storm that's going to roll through. There could be numerous storms that roll through that produce different types of weather when it comes to hail, damaging wind, and even tornadoes that we're finding here this morning. And again, that severe thunderstorm warning, it looks like it's now been extended now to include parts of Jefferson County.
Yep.
And that includes you in Cedar Hill, right along Route 30, also known as Gravois, as you get closer to
And Anthony,
St.
not
Louis
only
County.
the tornado stuff, right? So we've got a police officer seeing golf ball size hail in Sullivan, Scottsdale Drive, per the National Weather Service chat. So within these cells,
Yeah.
right in that
here.
area,
Yeah, and you can see the hail core, that's
Huge
the
hail.
gray on top of the radar.
And you see the camera, and I'm not sure where the camera is.
Oh my goodness.
That's St. Clair at 44.
that's
So that's here.
Sullivan, yeah,
That's
it's
not
in
even
there.
in the hail. That's just in the heavy rain. So that's where the camera shot is. Your hail is back here. And, you know, around Sullivan, as we said, golf ball, maybe larger size hail, could be wind driven as well. And in addition to that, if we don't already have enough threats going on, in addition to the tornado warning, and again, that tornado or apparent tornado, the circulation is about ready to cross out of Crawford County and into portions of Washington County, and it's very close to the line with Franklin County. So keep that in mind, very close here. You need to be in your safe spot in these areas. But in addition to the hail, to the wind, to the tornado, there is now a flash flood warning in effect for much of this same area. You know how wet it has been in the last couple of weeks with all the storms we've had. There is no place for the water to go. The ground will hold no more, and so it will all run off. And in some cases, we're going to look at an inch or two of rain, very short order, very heavy rain, and so flash flood warning. I think they just put that up. There's a new one, Anthony, that isn't showing up on the computer screen,
Right.
but that's for
Right.
northern Crawford County,
okay.
southwestern Franklin County, and Gasconade County. Because of the thunderstorms
Yeah,
and the flooding.
and you know we have a
right there.
flood watch that was issued this morning from the National Weather Service just because of that potential. I mean, our backyard has been soggy, and the front yard, and I mean, like you said, the water has nowhere to go, and so now the ground's overwhelmed, it's saturated, and so it just doesn't take much for runoff to happen. And of course, you know, the interstates, to get heavy rain over the interstates, that obviously creates issues as well when it comes to crashes and things like that. So what you're looking at right now is the velocity in the big box. That's the wind. Tornado warning there for Sullivan, or for Crawford County, extending into Washington County. Now it looks like it's about to cross over the county line. And then you have the severe thunderstorm warning, which is what the hail concern is, what Scott was talking about, from St. Clair, that will eventually be moving into Cedar Hill, into parts of Jefferson County. So these are our two warnings that are most pressing right now. Tornado warning for those two counties, Crawford and Washington, and it does include Franklin there. And then also for the severe thunderstorm warning, Franklin and parts of Jefferson County. So those are your two warnings here, and it looks like my box is doubled up on them. So there we go. There's your severe thunderstorm warning for that particular location, both until 12:15.
And large hail, damaging winds, and then the threat of the tornado with this circulation in this general vicinity right in here. I think that's probably side lobing, but when these storms cycle, and they sometimes do, they can create new circulations. And so that's something else that we'll be monitoring here and helping you with during the afternoon hours. If you're in northern portions of Washington County right now, you need to get to your safe place. The storm's not in Richwoods, although there is a storm in the vicinity of Richwoods right now, just went through. That's not the severe part of this. The severe part is back here coming into Washington County now from the west, and it's going to be moving to the east. So Richwoods, you're about to get the worst part of this storm in the next 10 minutes or so as this tracks on to the east. Potential tornado would be very close to Highway 185 right now, just south of the Franklin County line. This is all torrential rain and hail along 44 from St. Clair to Sullivan. Trooper reported just a few minutes ago he had about 20 yards maybe visibility, I think is what he said, and that was about it. That's not much. That's how hard it's raining and how much hail's falling out of this storm. So it is a very intense thunderstorm rolling onto the east, one to take seriously. Unlike the two tornadoes, Anthony, you were tracking yesterday morning in the Sullivan and Bourbon area, those were quick spin-ups. If this one goes down, the potential that it stays on the ground for an extended period of time is real, because you're looking at more of a supercell type storm here, more of a storm that has the ingredients for that storm to rotate and to continue to maintain that circulation and that rotation as it pushes across northern portions of Washington County. Again, this is a very rural area. Pea Ridge, right off 185 there, Caseyville. You want to go in a little tighter right around this area here, Anthony,
Yeah.
and we'll see what else pops up in here. I don't know that you're going to get a lot of like cities or towns, but
Yeah, more
Hackberry
just
Road's
roads.
probably pretty close between Hackberry Road and that Hamilton Hollow Road around 185. And then we go east from there as we slide off to the east. Some of your other roads that are in this area, Mulberry Road, Durango Drive will get in on this eventually. But if you're in these areas, if you live off these country roads, you need to be in your safe place right now. Again, very unpopulated area. This is State Highway A here that runs out of Richwoods all the way back to 185. Wouldn't want to be traveling that right now. And again, lots of trees in this area. So even if a tornado doesn't touch down and you've got serious problems as well as we march our way through these storms as they continue to trudge onto the
Scott, it looks like we lost your microphone there for a second, but as he was mentioning, yes, this is moving east out of now Crawford County into Washington County. Richwoods, one of the bigger towns there in the location of the path of this storm. And we had a tracker on here a minute ago. I'm going to put that back on here. And while it may be raining already in parts of Richwoods, where the tornadic part, where the rotation in the storm is falling, this is the timing for that. So again, you already have rain, and you already have a lot of it, heavy rain, lightning and thunder, even into Richwoods, but this will be the timing on the circulation that we're finding right back here, about to cross over the county line. So Richwoods about 11:58, Fletcher 12:03, and some of these towns, you know, our computer is just a compilation of many different formulas, and some towns I've never heard of. Sometimes the computer just puts towns on there that aren't even in our area. But if you live in any of these towns, again, some of them I haven't heard of, Frumet and Ware, DeSoto, we know that town, and Olympian Village, about 12:12 to 12:18, and that's moving into Jefferson County. So now there's not a warning for that particular location, but if this holds together, that's going to be extended even more to affect those parts near Highway 21, eventually over 55, and again, all those areas in the Jefferson County area. So right now, if you're watching us from Washington County, it looks like Crawford County, you're about to be in the clear here shortly, and also in Sullivan as well. While it is still raining, while it is still pouring, we do have that potential that still exists for the rotation, and of course that means it could drop out a tornado at any moment, or already has done so.
Yeah, and Anthony, there's a new severe thunderstorm warning. If you could go on that, northern Jefferson County and southeastern Franklin County until, again, golf ball size hail with this, the main threat, 60-mile-per-hour winds. So it's moving east at about 30 miles an hour. So a brand new warning on that. It doesn't look like it's populating yet. But severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 12:15. And again, this is over, let's see, golf ball size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, northern Franklin County, northern Jefferson County, and into Franklin County there.
Okay.
Looks like hail the biggest threat with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, our tornado warning still continuing here for northern portions of Washington County. It looks like it's just finally eased out of Crawford County, although it's still pouring and you still have, you know,
Just so
major
much
issues
lightning.
going on, and the potential for flooding too now. And, you know, keep in mind, this is the Merrimack River Basin, and, you know, we all like to go on float trips. And the Merrimack River is beautiful when it's
Not flooded.
Not flooded.
Yeah.
But because it's a small river and it's a float stream essentially, at least this part of it, very narrow, very pretty, very scenic, very small. But when it rains like this, all that water goes in and you have a very rapid rise in water. And so that's what we're going to be looking at here, is a very rapid rise in water with that. as these thunderstorms move through. And this isn't the only one. There's another batch of thunderstorms coming in back behind this that also is producing heavy rain and maybe some hail. Doesn't look like it's severe per se, but it's a pretty intense round of thunderstorms there, and there are more that will develop back behind that before the day is done.
Yeah, so we still do have this tornado warning that's in effect for Washington County now, about to pull out. We have our storm tracker on the scene. I know they were in Bonne Terre last we spoke. Our storm tracker was in Bonne Terre, so I don't know if we're going to them now or if that was just an accident. But nonetheless, there's the radar that does show the tornado warning that's still in place from 12 until now, until 12:15. So that's still for another 25 minutes here across that part of the county. So this is for for Washington County for the tornado warning, but it is Franklin County that you have the severe thunderstorm warning, and also for parts of Jefferson County. Just starting to rain now in Cedar Hill, just starting to rain a little bit over in Hillsborough, right along Route 21 and Route 30. And I mean, St. Clair is getting hammered, really. Sullivan, even though the tornadic threat has passed that area, it looks like you're just getting so much heavy rain and so much lightning and thunder with this. I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing of power outages in that area when it comes to, losing power in these areas. You know, if you're watching from St. Louis, you're probably thinking, well, what the heck? There's nothing going on.
Right, yeah.
And this is just to our southwest. I mean, these storms, eventually you see the ones out just west of Wentzville in the O'Fallon area, these here. These are going to be moving into St. Louis here shortly, even in St. Charles County, but there's no severe component to these just yet in the northern portion. It's just down here in Sullivan and in the parts of Washington County where we do have the biggest threat right now, and it is the tornadic threat. So let's go back to our velocity radar. This is what we show you when it comes to the wind hitting the Doppler radar, and this is how you measure the rotation in the wind. And that's why you have the tornado warning, because of the velocity couplet. You hear us throw that term around quite a bit when you have these storms, and it's when the red and the green meet up. And you can see there's just so much rotation in this particular part of the storm. It looks like it's crossing over 185 right now, the rotating part of this storm. And so eventually, as we've been talking, Richwoods, heads up, I would say in the next 5 minutes, this thing is going to be on your doorstep. And we zoomed in a little bit earlier and showed you some of the towns, Highway A, State Highway A, or excuse me, some of the streets. And there you can see over towards Pea Ridge, probably in the thick of it right now. And some of those streets, Hackberry Road, Briggs Road, Mulberry, Baja Drive, Walnut Road. If I've listed off any of those towns or you live near them, you need to be in your safe space. You need to be in your basement. You need to have your shoes on. You need to have something to protect your head in the case of debris flying around. We always recommend a helmet. Even pillows, blankets, things like that will work because, again, falling and flying debris can certainly do damage to not only property but also to your own body.
Yeah, and it looks like the rotation's starting to increase once again on this system. So that once again increases the potential that we're going to get a tornado. That inflow, the winds towards the radar and then away from the radar seem to be increasing a little bit. So that hook feature reappearing here, starting to see more of rotation in the lower levels. It's in the upper part of the storm. The whole storm is rotating because it's a supercell storm. So just the timeline on that, and there you have it. That's your timeline at this point as we are continuing to track these storms off to the east. It's almost into Richwoods here. And you'll get some rain out ahead of that, but once you get into this part of the storm that could produce the tornado, that's the most dangerous part of the storm. Now, having said that, as you go up along the Franklin County line and to the north, you likely are looking at the potential for golf ball to maybe tennis ball size hail.
Yeah,
this video,
Sullivan.
Where's this video?
Sullivan.
This is Sullivan, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we heard
Minutes
just
ago.
a few minutes ago from Sullivan that the law enforcement, I think it was a highway patrolman, said it couldn't see more than 20 yards. And you see why. Drenching rain. And notice the rain has nowhere to go.
It's just ponding.
It's just gonna roll to the lowest spot, and that means we are going to be looking at some flooding as well. So flash flood warning continues for much of these areas, in addition to the severe thunderstorms and to the tornadoes. So there's a lot going on here with this system as it presses in from the southwest of St. Louis. So cities in the path of this. Richwoods definitely there. The circulation in this general vicinity here, crossing past 185. Fletcher, after Richwoods, then eventually it's going to get over here into Jefferson County. So Ware and Frumet and Fletcher's in there too. Olympian Village in there. Festus about 12:30 if it holds together and keeps going. The severe thunderstorm warning includes much of the rest of Jefferson County. That does include Ware, and that also includes this area as you work your way out along Highway 30 going out of Jefferson County back into Franklin County. So that's where the hail and the wind will be more of a threat. This area is where we're more concerned about a tornado, right along and south of the Washington-Franklin County line right now. You can see we're starting to see this part right here nudging out a little bit, and that's your circulation. Okay, there's also another little nub in here. It's not impossible for this storm to create multiple circulations and for us to see more than one tornado come out of it. But that's our main area right now where we're watching and looking at that wind and the tightening of that rotation as it approaches Richwoods in the next 4 to 5 minutes or so. You're going to see conditions rapidly deteriorate, so you need to be in your safe place right now.
Yeah, just Kate Quinn is at the news desk, and she just passed this along to me. The Cardinals game is delayed now. It was going to happen earlier around 12:15, but that's been delayed. So have had folks ask us about that in St. Louis, even though we don't have a tornado warning here in St. Louis just yet, or at all. The delay for the Cardinals game, if you had plans to go to that, has been delayed. So
you know, out ahead of this supercell, we're actually getting a little thunder here, even in downtown St. Louis. But again, no severe weather here at this point. It remains in that supercell that Scott's been talking about that continues to rotate. And just again, Richwoods, you need to be in your safe space right now, as it looks like this is tightening back up again, which is what we were expecting as it moves to the east at about 30 miles an hour. So the only tornado warning still in effect is to the south here, again, south of St. Louis, and we've got tornado warning in effect and a watch also to the south of St. Louis, but thunderstorms are popping up even out ahead of that, that main batch of storms.
Yeah. You know, we have had a busy last few weeks here across the bi-state when it comes to severe weather. And of course, you probably are well versed on what to do if you do have a storm in your area that has rotation or even has hail and, of course, frequent lightning and thunder. So we're getting to the point of our day where our noon show usually starts. And so what we are going to do here shortly, we are going to reset and roll our animation to let the noon show open up, and we will continue our storm alert coverage here in just a few minutes.
This is 5 on your side at noon, focused on you.
We are in storm alert. Severe thunderstorms moving through counties to the south of the city of St. Louis. Our entire area could see hail, strong winds, and possible tornadoes. Thanks for being here. I'm Kay Quinn. Storms moving through several counties to our south right now. We have team coverage. Let's get right back to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell, Anthony Slaughter, and Jim Castillo.
We are tracking these storms. Tornado warning is the biggest threat right now, and that includes southeastern portions of Franklin County, the northern portions of Washington County. This is to the southwest of St. Louis. This is in effect until 12:15. It's this circulation here that you see that's crossed 185 now. It's working its way towards Richwoods, and within the next couple of minutes, it will be in the Richwoods area. We have radar indicated rotation, and at times it's been very strong rotation, which would be indicative of potentially producing a larger tornado. Unlike the storms we had earlier this week, yesterday morning, that went through the Bourbon area and the Sullivan area, those produce brief spin-ups. If this one touches down, it likely will not be a brief spin-up. Instead, it will be a larger tornado with a bigger impact and potentially stronger winds as we work our way through the course of the day. Let's flip the max 2 and we'll get you on to max 2.
Guys, for a second.
And you'll see here in just a second what comes up, but you need to be in your safe place. Where is that safe place? That safe place is in a basement. Okay, if you don't have a basement available, then you need to go to the lowest floor of whatever building you're in, and you need to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So that's our tornado warning. That's approaching Richwoods, the tornado is. North of that, this is all hail in Franklin County, up to tennis ball size hail perhaps. That's sliding off to the east. That's why the severe thunderstorm warning stretches across into Jefferson County. It does include Hillsborough and Cedar Hill. So it's all the way over to Highway 21 for that severe thunderstorm warning. This tornado warning is because of that cell that is spinning down here west of Richwoods. Radar indicated rotation. We haven't had any reports of it actually touching down, but radar indicated rotation is strong, and that's going to be moving right over the Richwoods area as we head through the next 15 or 20 minutes, or right along the Franklin and Washington County lines as it pushes to the east. In addition to that threat, you also have the threat for large hail and damaging winds here across parts of Franklin County as this system continues to move to the east. These storms are tracking about 30 miles per hour, moving to the east right now. They are using the instability or the fuel that's available south of St. Louis. More of it's available there than in the metro area. And because of that, that's what we're looking at with the potential of the severe weather, at least right now, being focused just south of St. Louis. That's why there's a new tornado watch that's in effect for all of our southern counties here. That does include the areas just south of St. Louis. Does include Jefferson County over into Monroe County, Illinois. So tornado warning in effect right now. Southeastern portions of Franklin County, northern portions of Washington County. If you're on this stretch of highway that runs through Richwoods and off to the east, you know, Highway 47 slips right through there. If you're in that area, you need to be in your safe spot right now. There's the circulation. Here's where we have the back edge of that kind of rotating through. This is going to be the area we watch as we continue through the course of the next 15 to 30 minutes to see if it can maintain the circulation, to see if it can strengthen and tighten that circulation. When circulations tighten, it's an indication that the storms are about ready to drop something. So here's the area we're watching right here, coming into the Richwoods region right now. A lot of strong winds also back behind this, and also farther to the north. There's also large hail in here. Wind-blown golf ball to perhaps tennis ball size hail is definitely possible, very close to the Washington and now Washington and Crawford and Washington and Franklin County lines. So really all in this area, more concentrated at this point, approaching Highway 47. That's going to impact areas perhaps around Lonedale, perhaps around Grubbville too. You know, with hail, there's not much you can do. You want to make sure you're wearing your shoes right now, because if this is wind-blown hail, it could break windows. If the tornado, which is tracking closer to Richwoods, that potential tornado causes damage, then the potential is there for you to end up seeing additional debris and things broken. So you wear your shoes. We're going to go to the lowest spot of whatever building we're in. We're going to put as many walls between us and the outside as possible. Again, this is a look at it from just what we would consider the regular radar view, if you will. Scott,
the National Weather Service has mentioned in Sullivan, emergency crews, they have extreme flooding and a lot of trees down. Mentioned they will send pictures shortly.
Yeah, okay, and you know, we know that given all the rain we've had right now and this more torrential rain, you get a 50 or 60 mile an hour wind and you're able to blow down trees easier because the roots are not being held because of the wet ground. Storm trackers out running this afternoon, heading in these general directions to keep us up to date. Again, if you're in this area here of southern portions of Franklin County, this most likely is where we're seeing the largest of the hail. This area right in here, just south of the Franklin County line, appears to be where we have our circulation and appears to be where that potential tornado is. That's going to be sliding towards Richwoods, and you're really within minutes, it will be moving into the Richwoods area, as this looks like it may actually be strengthening a little bit in that area. And this hail core up here to the north, that is an incredible hail core. Golf ball to perhaps up to tennis ball size hail. So just kind of tracking this whole line farther to the east. Richwoods, Maupin, Ware, Fletcher, those are the towns that are on your map. There are other small towns in these areas here that we'll be dealing with. Highway 47, right now, once you get up into far northern, once you get north of Richwoods on Highway 47, it's raining so hard all the way up to St. Clair you can hardly see, which is a bad thing because there's also wind with this storm and you have a ton of trees on the side of the road. This is what it looked like just a few minutes ago in Sullivan. And of course, we appreciate your pictures, but we want you to be safe when you are able to send them to us. But this is video from Sullivan of the strong winds, and you can see that torrential rain. And now, Anthony, you were telling me Sullivan police are reporting significant flooding in that area now. Yeah. And trees down.
Trees down.
That's from the emergency manager there in Sullivan.
Lots of lightning with this, trees down, and extreme flooding as it moves closer to Richwoods and eventually into Jefferson County.
We're also getting a report of Sparta north of Richwoods reporting a tornado on the ground, but hard to see, rain wrapped. And I mean, that's,
yeah,
you saw the rain from Sullivan. You can't see much out there.
And that's going to be part of the problem with this as we go through this. If these storms do get wrapped in the rain, and that's possible, then you're not even going to have a chance to see the tornado until it's right on you.
And then you're going outside taking a video and boom, getting swept away. So do not do that right now.
No.
We appreciate it, but we can just use the radar.
Yeah, be safe.
You know, in these instances.
And the large hail, again, that's really focused in this area, this corridor here in southern portions of Franklin County. Northern portions of Washington County, right along the Franklin County line, very close to or just north of Richwoods, potentially where we are seeing that tornado right now as it continues to track on to the east. I suspect these warnings are going to get dragged farther east before all is said and done. I'm getting a hail indicator there of close to 4 inches out of that storm.
Oh my goodness.
And you know, that's just off the radar. That's just off the radar, and it usually reads a little high, but nonetheless, you know, tennis ball size, baseball size hail, that's a big deal. That's a live look down towards Cuba, Anthony. You can see how it looks behind this system. This is behind it on the backside.
So ominous.
A very ominous sky. You're going to see a lot of scary looking clouds this afternoon, and some of those clouds are going to produce severe weather as what we're seeing right now. There's your hail, largest hail working its way right along the Franklin, Washington County line right now, approaching Highway 47, and this area very close to or just north of Richwoods, where we believe we have the potential for the tornado as it continues to slide on to the east, moving at about 30 miles per hour. There you
Scott,
see that.
The tornado warning actually goes until 12:15 here. And I mean, we're about 12:10 now. And so really just about 5 more minutes. I would suspect they're going to extend this.
I'm pretty sure they will extend it.
Probably until about maybe 12:20 or
yeah,
25.
well, they'll probably issue a new warning downstream to take us farther into Jefferson County. And which brings us to the point. If you live in Jefferson County, especially the southern portions of Jefferson County, Hillsborough, DeSoto, over to Festus, Ware, anywhere in that area north of Valley Mines, if you're in that area, you're not under a tornado warning just yet. You probably will be, but you have some time here. You have 15, 20 minutes to get yourself to a safe place if you're in a mobile home, if you're in a manufactured home. You need to be in substantial shelter for a storm that looks like this. This is, you know, very supercell looking storm, lots of very large hail here on the north side of it, and then you have that circulation here that's in the general vicinity of Richwoods. Kind of hard to pinpoint exactly where that tightest circulation is based on what we're seeing out of the radar right now, but you see how it's moving and how it's maintained and stayed together. It may go, the tornado, if there is one that touches down, may go just to the north of Richwoods, right along the county line there with Franklin County and Washington County.
You may have already mentioned this, but the National Weather Service said they are going to issue a new tornado warning into Jefferson County.
Yeah,
and
we thought they would.
They are going to be increasing, or they're watching the increasing hail threat of size of baseball size hail in this storm.
Well, we said that, you know, the 4-inch indicator
Yeah,
off of the
so
radar.
perhaps that's true.
Baseball's 2.75 inches, I believe. So, I mean, that's big hail, and that's a problem. Especially, it's a problem if it's falling when there's no wind. It's a bigger problem if it's falling when there's 50 or 60 mile per hour winds, which
absolutely.
potentially there is. So, wind-driven hail, you know, you got to stay away from windows and doors here. But this is the track of the worst part of this storm. On the southern side of that, really, Festus going back to the Washington-Franklin County line and kind of south of that line, that's where the greatest tornado threat appears to be right now. The greatest hail threat appears to be on the north side of that storm. But again, hail up to the size of baseballs or perhaps larger with this. Now we're starting to get that red and dark red and orange in there. So the hail indicator definitely showing us what one would consider near giant size hail, definitely very large.
And you know, Scott, this video that one of the emergency management sent, you see this water just flowing over the road into an area where there's a house. I mean, so much water has come down in a short amount of time, you know, and that's why you have the flash flood warning that's in place. I mean, there's so many polygons on the map right now, the threat for tornadic activity and, of course, the flash flooding. So even though you may not get, you know, hail or a tornado, the heavy rain could really be an issue, especially, you know, if you're headed out to lunch break right now and you're just thinking, oh, I got to go grab lunch. You may want to put those plans on pause right now.
Yeah, there's the storm tracker right now, and you can see they are traveling on side roads. They are not on the interstate.
They were down in Bonne Terre for a while. I'm not sure exactly.
So they're probably heading back to the north and have a view of that storm.
Yeah, there's a new tornado warning, guys. Franklin County, Jefferson County, and Washington County until 1 p.m. Until 1 p.m. Again, this storm is moving east at about 30 miles an hour, so heads up Cedar Hill to Festus, everybody in pretty much southern portions of Jefferson County under a tornado warning now. And again, watching not only very large hail, the flash flooding that we've seen, the massive lightning, and I believe Storm Tracker is out and about.
Okay, so they're on 67 north of Bonne Terre.
Okay, so Tracy Henson, you're on 67 north of Bonne Terre.
Yeah,
can you hear me?
Talking to our producer there.
Okay. Oh, she's on 21 in Hillsborough. Okay, so she's in Jefferson County.
So hopefully they're being safe and they'll get to a spot. You know, meteorologist Tracy Henson, she is well versed on how to stay safe in these type of scenarios. I know a lot of folks worry about us as well when we're out tracking these storms. So she is prepared, and we're hoping to get you prepared as well with these images. And of course, the Doppler radar that shows the new tornado warning that now goes until 1 o'clock for Jefferson County and also Franklin County. Even Washington, it looks like, in there as well.
Yeah, they clipped that northeastern portion of Washington County, just kind of where this storm is right now, and then southeastern portions of Franklin County and over into portions of Jefferson County, most of the southern parts of Jefferson County. So in many areas, the tornado sirens go off for the entire county, even though it may only be a small part of the county. So you may be hearing tornado sirens in Arnold. Parts of Fenton, you may be hearing tornado sirens. You are not dealing with a tornado threat in northern Jefferson County. That tornado threat is in southern Jefferson County right now. The baseball-sized hail threat is in central portions of Jefferson County. The tornado itself right now looks like it's just to the east, maybe northeast of Richwoods at this point, and that's going to be sliding towards Maupin. It could impact DeSoto, it could eventually impact Festus, but down Highway 21 here is the area that we're really tracking with these storms and the potential that you're going to get the worst of the severe weather here in these areas. So Grubbville, you're just moments away from the worst of it really sliding into your direction. Hillsborough, DeSoto, Hematite, Olympian Village, Peevely, Selma, all in the path of this storm. You need to be in your safe place in these areas right now.
Yeah, Scott, we're getting pictures here too of hail that's covering the ground. I mean, it looks like snow in parts of St. Clair, Missouri. Also, there was a report of a roadway, Little Boone Creek Road, which is actually covered in water right now, and emergency management says it's possibly washing out.
Yeah, that's
so
a
we
problem.
always talk about, you know, turn around, don't drown. You think the road's there, and it may not be. So if you live in that area, and you know Little Boone Creek Road, I would avoid that area right now.
If there's water over the roads, and this is going to be another threat this afternoon, like we needed another one, but when you have all this heavy rain and hail, and that's rushing off because the ground is so saturated, it has no place to go. So when that fills up the little creeks and streams, if they go through and over a road, it's very easy for them in many cases to wash out that little bridge, if you will. And you're driving along and you see some water, you don't know if it's washed out or not. So please do not drive through flooded roads this afternoon, especially in this hilly terrain where we've got fast flowing water running across those roads. Your hail core right now, right along Highway 47, and it is north of the Washington-Franklin County line. Grubbville, perhaps Lonedale, you're in the path of that really big hail. We're talking nearly giant-size hail, up to the size of baseballs, perhaps a little bit larger. Richwoods, you're now getting some hail. That circulation and the potential tornado, what's prompted the tornado warning, and probably one of the reasons why they have the tornado warning extended farther north as well, is because of the destructive hail in combination with that tornado threat. While the tornado threat is to the south, the destructive hail is to the north. This was one warning that will set off all of the phones and do all the tone alerts on the radio stations so that everyone can get involved. That's why your phone has gone off this afternoon. Now, your sirens may have gone off. This Sullivan video here.
That's the one I was talking about with the water covering into near the house. And I mean, you can see it. It's just flowing like a river. And then boom, you got a water area there covered in, a road there covered in water.
Yeah,
that's the Sullivan area.
The main supercell has passed Sullivan, but look what's developing behind it. This is what we were thinking. And like Anthony was saying earlier, you might have already heard of the tornado warnings, and then we'll watch that next cell behind it, and you might hear the tornado warnings again. That would be a new warning.
Well, and on days like this, you know, you think you get a big storm, it clears the atmosphere out, right? We're back to stable air.
Right.
And this is holding together. The one behind it looks just as intense as the first one. So this is one of those days where there's so much instability in our atmosphere where one storm may come through, it's not going to clear things out and, you know, give you the okay, the all clear. It looks like there's more behind them. And Kay Quinn, she's been helping us with these reports. It sounds like in Berkeley, Missouri, the Boeing plant is actually they just sent all their employees home for the day, and probably a good idea when it comes to, you know, just staying safe.
Now, and I don't know if any of the schools have tried early dismissal today, or I know a lot.
Well, I got to get out of here if that's the case.
Parkway is no after school.
Parkway may delay dismissal depending on the weather at the time.
I think what's going to happen, because kids, if they didn't do an early dismissal before now, with this activity in and around the St. Louis area, and particularly to the south, and we'll leave it on this broader perspective here just for a second, Jimmy Kay.
I've got a couple of other details out of Franklin County. There's a fire in an attic reported just east of the Union area along Fairway Drive, believed to have been sparked by lightning. And we may have seen that on the MoDOT camera a little earlier, the smoke we were talking about. It is believed that came from this fire. And then, as Anthony mentioned, Little Boone Creek Road, the Spring Bluff area, the highway department is headed to that area where the road appears to have been washed out due to the flooding and the high water. All right, and you can see we have the radar on the screen, we have the traffic cameras where you're looking at that heavy rainfall in many places. We're on a broader perspective, and we're going to hold it on this broader perspective just for a couple of minutes, and here's why. First of all, let's talk the tornado warning. That is for northeastern portions of Washington County. The storm right now that's possibly producing this tornado, the tornadic potential of this storm is right along the Jefferson, Washington, Franklin County line. Okay, it is moving to the east. That's in a direct path that will eventually take it over to Festus. So if you're in the southern portions of Jefferson County, you need to be in your safe place. That's a basement. That's the lowest floor of whatever building you're in. As many walls between you and the outside as possible. Bathroom, closet would work. Cover your head. We're wearing our shoes, right? Okay, that's part one. All right, we also have large hail across much of the rest of southeastern Franklin County that's moving into Jefferson County. That's probably going to stay just to the south of Arnold, but hail up to the size of tennis balls, perhaps, maybe baseballs with that. Looking back to the west, there's a flash flood warning that encompasses much of the area that just saw this heavy rain and hail. You have flooding ongoing right now around Sullivan. Many of the small creeks and streams
quickly jumped because the ground is totally saturated, quickly jumped and are in flooding. Now we're back to this broader view. Notice there are still thunderstorms in the flash flood warning area here back to the west coming out of Gasconade into western Franklin County. We have non-severe thunderstorms from Innsbrook to Warrenton back out to Herman. They are pushing east. These will be moving into the metro area. The instability is much greater down to the south of St. Louis. That's what's fueling these storms. The instability is not as great up farther to the north in the immediate metro area. We will watch these storms to see if they can tap into any of that tries to move in up over and aloft of these storms. But right now, that's not happening. So in the immediate metro area, even though it's dark in St. Charles County and you're starting to see the rain push in towards Wentzville, it's not severe there, and there's more development back to the west that's going to cause us additional problems before the day is done.
Scott, the Ladue School District has canceled all of their after-school activities as well.
We should mention a big backup on Interstate 270 at I-64. As you mentioned, Scott, no severe weather in the immediate area, but traffic is already being affected in many areas. We're trying to get the MoDOT cam up. This is I-270 south near I-64. And just so you know, if you're heading out or know someone who is out driving, they may be late. It may take a little while.
In that area around Ladue Road on 270, they are doing construction, so the lanes on 270 do narrow there, and the speed, slows down.
Yeah, and surprising, it's not even barely raining.
Yeah, I don't think the rain's really made it there just yet. So here's some golf ball size hail that we have from a viewer. Elizabeth sent this in to us. That's golf ball size hail. Look at the jagged edges on that. I had some hail this weekend at my house. It was almost perfectly round. The jagged edges, a very good indicator there that you have a lot of wind within that storm, and that's what's stretching that hail out. So, Elizabeth, thanks for sending that in. Again, hail, another big threat now, and that is moving into Jefferson County. So we can zoom in on this part of the storm. This is the worst part of the storm that we're going to deal with here as we head through the next hour. The worst storm that's out there, the most intense storm. Heavy hail, large up to the size perhaps of tennis balls, and then we also have that potential tornado circulation that is now starting to nudge its way east of Richwoods and into portions of Jefferson County. So here's where that bright red and green are meeting up here. And again, keep in mind, the radar scan runs a couple of 3 minutes. By the time the radar processes all the information and it has to go through all the internet channels, it takes a couple of minutes. But there's some really intense rotation here that's not too far from Richwoods, maybe crossing 185 now and then sliding off to the east. So if you're in these areas of northeastern Washington County going into the southern portions of Jefferson County, you need to be in your safe place at this point. And the hail size maybe has come down a little bit, Anthony, based on what we're seeing, but there's still a lot of wind in this. And we're also seeing that rotation staying there as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we just saw a picture of hail that was just sent in. Maybe we'll get this flipped here soon. Of the hail was just covering the ground. I thought it was an old photo of snow. It was that much hail, and it just looked just like snow covering the ground. So if you can put your plans on pause in the Jefferson County area, I know it's lunchtime. A lot of folks especially have this hour where you have to, go get food. I would say maybe just wait today. Go to the vending machine in your office or something and get to your safe place as well. I mean, that's the bottom line here. You do not want to be traveling out in Richwoods right now and all those towns you see in Jefferson County that will be impacted here shortly. I also just heard that the Mercy Hospital in Jefferson County is sheltering in place right now, which is a good idea. I think a lot of people in Jefferson County and those towns there that you see on your screen, you do need to be hunkered down, safe place, basement, away from windows. Again, and if your lunch break is right now, I would just, one of those days where you might just have to be hungry because your safety is more important than actually venturing out in this kind of weather. You want to stay inside right now.
And guys, just checking the power outages. So Crawford County, 851, Gasconade County, 546. Franklin County 124, then you get to Washington County 139. Now it's only two out right now in Jefferson County, but that's likely going to change as that tornadic supercell continues to move into Jefferson County.
Yeah, we just got word too that Missouri State Highway Patrol is shutting down Highway 185 at East Vine, and it's unknown how far south they're going to have to shut that down. They also say they have a water rescue there ongoing right now. So, you know, it seems as though, you know, folks carrying on as business as usual, and then having issues now that, you know, the water is overtaking the road. Of course, you know, you think of the tornado and the tornadic threat. Yes, that's there. But one of the things that sometimes gets, you know, kind of lost in the clutter is the flash flood potential. And it seems as though this storm is putting down so much rain that the roads and the ground is just having a hard time keeping up, the drainage systems as well. And so, you know, we hear heavy rain, you hear flash flood a lot of times, and it kind of goes to the back of your mind and you think, oh, not a big deal. But that seems to be just as big a deal this afternoon now, as opposed to what we usually see when, you know, you get a little water here and there and, you know, kind of go on about your business. So again, that was Missouri State Highway Patrol shutting down 185, where we saw that roll right through Sullivan into the parts of Washington and Crawford County. So that's east of Vine, or at East Vine, excuse me, 185 at East Vine.
And that's pretty close to where that tornado, I think, just went through Sullivan, too.
Yeah.
Not too far away. All right, so we're going to get on to Max 2 here for me here at the BAM. If you can pop on Max 2 and you just see it kind of working in there. We're going to do a little exploration on this storm, this supercell storm that is down to the south of St. Louis. This is the one that's working its way out of Franklin County, into Jefferson County, into northeastern portions of Washington County right now. This is the storm we are most concerned about. It is the storm right now that is producing large hail, and it's potentially producing a tornado. And it looks like that circulation at this point, we're going to pop the velocity on here. That circulation looks like it's in this general vicinity, north of Richwoods, moving to the east. Now, it may be a little farther east than this. I don't know exactly when this radar picture was. It's a couple of 3 minutes old. These storms are moving about 30 miles per hour to the east. So again, if you're in the path of this, you need to be in your safe place right now. They're going about 30 miles per hour. So let's see if we can't track this for you. Just where that, I'm going to give you well, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Well, there it is. That track here goes off to the east, Ware, Fletcher, DeSoto, Hematite, eventually over to Festus. All right, it's going all, this storm is going to make it all the way to the Mississippi River. There's no question. But the winds here in this bright color, certainly indicative of very intense rotation. Okay, the ones coming towards the radar, the ones going away from the radar's almost, you know, it's right up the road here, so it's not, it doesn't have the best view of it, but nonetheless, it's showing us what's going on. And you can see this is the large hail to the north of that, that's right on the line here with Jefferson as well as
And Scotty, they were
Franklin
saying on the
counties.
National Weather Service chat, so just watching that area of hail that will be impacting Hillsborough very soon, up to baseball-sized hail.
So here's State Road Y. All right, that's Highway Y. Here's WW. All right, it's coming out of Franklin County and moving. You're going to get some large hail in Grubville, but the largest will be just to your south. And then it's moving off to the east. So this giant hail, Morse Mill into Cottage Farms, eventually into Hillsborough. So that's State Highway B, that's Column Drive. State Highway C, there's Ware. Here's Highway 21. All right, there's Highway 21. Hail is your biggest threat here along with strong winds. So we broaden that back out, and then we look at where the circulation is. Somewhere in here, now crossing into this area that will approach DeSoto in the next few minutes. We've heard from several school districts, and that's a look at 185 and Sullivan at 44, and you can see it's still pouring there right now. We've heard from several of the school districts that will be postponing their after-school activities.
Wentzville and Parkway.
Ladue, Wentzville, and Parkway are the three that we've heard from that will not do after-school activities today. Keep in mind, if your students are still at school and these storms are moving through, the school districts have a plan. Most of the school superintendents are on National Weather Service chat. Most of them work closely with the National Weather Service. They will not release your kids this afternoon in storms like this to go home on a bus. All right, so there may be late dismissals later on this afternoon. They will hold the kids at school. You don't need to go to school to get your kids. The kids have a very well-defined, safe place for all of the teachers, all of the administrators. They work very hard on a plan for where to be when the weather gets like this if there were a tornado threat, which right now, that's in southern portions of Jefferson County. And I can tell you all the school districts down here have their kids in the safe place right now, and they are prepared for this. They have a safe place. They will keep your kids safe this afternoon. You don't need to go to school to pick up your kids. They will also hold the buses if they have to later this afternoon at dismissal. They're not going to put kids on buses as we go through this afternoon. So your tornado threat seems to be right in this notchy area here, just off to the west of DeSoto. That circulation is still there for sure. We haven't had any reports of it actually touching the ground, and we'll take that as a bonus, because if we can keep that circulation 2,000 or 3,000 feet off the ground, it doesn't cause us problems. If it hits the ground, we have problems, because in storms like this, with this kind of energy and with this kind of rotation, you're talking the larger tornadic cells. Again, we're in Jefferson County. DeSoto, you would be in the direct path of this. Let's zoom in a little bit more here. Highway 21's right here. State Highway Y, Ware, State Highway H. There's Frumet. So that tornado is probably somewhere between Frumet and DeSoto right now, or in this general vicinity.
See that spin?
In this area
It's
here.
like a little bit of a,
So
like a hook.
this is where you really need to be in your safe place. Yeah, you can, as Jimmy was saying, you can even see a little more of a hook there.
Yeah.
There may be multiple circulations in these types of storms. There's a lot of instability south of St. Louis, and not as much more as you go to the north. You saw the pictures out of Sullivan earlier from our viewers with the flooding. You've seen the cameras looking down Interstate 44. It is a torrential rain now west of St. Clair down to Sullivan, with potentially some smaller hail, okay?
Franklin County, Scott, is where a lot of the major damage and emergencies that are occurring have been developing. The water rescue at 185 in East Vine, that is very near Open Bar, which was hit by the tornado yesterday. This is all happening. It's the second day in a row, a kind of a bullseye on that very same area. Flash flooding, trees snapped. We had a report of a tree snapped at the ground. Little Boone Creek Road, water over the roadway. Ameren reminding you, if you have a flooded basement, water and electricity do not mix. You must not go into water unless you, in your basement, in a structure,
Great
unless
advice.
you know
Yes.
the electricity is off. That is from Ameren, Missouri. The Missouri Highway Department reminding everyone, do not go on roads that are covered with water. And again, they are responding to many of these areas where the roads appear to be washed out. MoDOT crews were going to Little Boone Creek Road, where we heard of a washout. And obviously, emergency responders at 185 in East Vine right now.
And there's 44 at 185 right now in Sullivan, just to look at that. Just the heavy rain continues. And you know, the big thing with this K2 is that hail in Scotty. And Hillsborough, we have actually a camera on Max 1, just waiting for any hail that maybe we can spot on that. But this also is a shot out of Hillsborough, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the weather tracker. Actually, this is down at Jefferson College. That's in Hillsborough. So you know, it's just getting ready to get going there right now. It's just rain, but it could get worse before things get done. Want to go back to the radar and go back to Max 1 and just kind of reset the situation. If you're just joining us now, it's 12:35. We have tornado warnings that are in effect for the southern portions of Jefferson County at this hour. We also have them in effect for southeastern portions of Franklin County and northeastern portions of Washington County. Not only are we dealing with a tornado threat at this point, but we're also dealing with a very large hail threat, especially north of wherever that potential tornadic circulation may develop, which it looks like it's still spinning here as you go into southwestern Jefferson County. South of Cedar Hill, that's where we pick up this large core of hail. So we're going to stop that now, go in a little closer here, kind of try to pinpoint these things. Here's your large hail as it's working towards Highway 21. Odds are it's going to stay just to the north of Hillsborough, although I suspect you're about to get a little bit of hail in Hillsborough. That's where 5 on your side, Weather First meteorologist Tracy Hinson is in the storm tracker. So we may hear from her in a little bit. This would be the part of the storm that has the circulation associated with it and some strong winds really back behind it. Let me add the winds back in here and pop the velocity on, and you can see some of the stronger winds are actually behind where that circulation is showing up, and that circulation may be kind of trying to relocate itself a little bit farther to the east. But anywhere in southern portions of Jefferson County, I'd be in my safe place right now. That is in the basement, if you have a basement. Not everybody does. If you're in an apartment, try to get to the lowest floor. Maybe you have a laundry room that's down in the basement. Maybe you have can go to a neighbor's that's on the lower level. Again, strong winds are about to push into DeSoto right now as these storms continue to roll on in, and we continue to track not only the intense rain that's caused flash flooding back to the west, but also looking at the very large hail that we find here across central portions, mainly south of Cedar Hill and down towards Hillsborough. This area is really getting pounded by the larger hail right now. That's coming into Morse Mill. That big path of hail is going to go along Highway BB and then head over to Highway 21. There's Highway B, there's Cottage Farm and Ware. State Highway Y has already had some of this, maybe up to baseball size hail. Certainly golf ball size hail as it's pushing off to the east, and potentially some stronger winds in there as well. So the tornado warning continues all the way to the Mississippi River here for southern portions of Jefferson County. Now, widening it out because it is getting dark and ominous in other places right now. These areas farther to the north, Greene County, Jersey County, Calhoun County, over into Macoupin and Montgomery counties. This is just rain. I know you don't need it, but that's all it is right now, nothing severe. What we're looking at as we get back into the western parts of the metro, parts of St. Charles County, Warren County, out towards Herman, not severe, okay? Just rain. Speaking of rain, that's what it looks like, heavy rain right now, falling in many locations. And Kay, you've got an update for us?
Scott, I-44, very slow going near Highway 50 in Union. That's where there is water across the road at this point. Apparently traffic is moving, but it's very slow going. Emergency crews are on the scene. They're dealing with that flash flooding now, but again, this is I-44 near Highway 50. This is all near Union. That's just a little snapshot of one area. You know this is happening in a wide area down in Franklin County, around Sullivan. Even the affected. So you really want to stay home if you can right now and not go out in this weather.
I think that's an important thing too. And even after it kind of winds down, stay put for a little bit because there are going to be issues. As we heard, a potential lightning caused fire back into parts of Franklin County earlier. Kay, you were telling us there are first responders that need to do their job, and there are people that need some assistance and some help. So with that in mind, you stay in your safe place until the worst of it goes through, and then as we work our way through the remainder of the afternoon, even after it lets up a little bit this round, just if you don't have to go out, don't go out. That's I-44 in the flooding right now. You can see it looks like there is a car perhaps in the middle of the road, and just one lane on either side. So again, a lot of water on our highways. Heavy rainfall falling south of St. Louis, down 44. It's about to move into 55. Actually, it's raining pretty well south of Arnold through Barnhart down to Festus. But our biggest concern is really where we have this tornado warning, and that does include in the Festus area. You're under the warning. Hillsborough likely seeing some of that hail right now. The potential circulation and possible tornado, even though it doesn't show up as well as what you might expect, there's still pockets of winds, and it looks like that potential circulation's getting close to DeSoto right now. So stay in your safe place until these storms pass through, and we'll continue to track them for you this afternoon. Kay, you have an update?
We're hearing from some additional school districts that we haven't heard from before. Fox C6 saying at this point status quo. They are evaluating what's happening. they have not canceled after-school activities, but the Festus R6 district just did that. All practices, after-school activities in Festus R6 canceled. Also canceled after-school activities in Wentzville, Parkway, and Ladue schools. Students are not being dismissed early. We have not heard that yet, but we do know that anything after school is probably not going to happen in a lot of those districts to our south.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the school districts to the south that are facing this when it comes time to actually put the kids on the bus will slow things down. Spotters are telling us that there's a clear circulation here. I believe it was northwest of DeSoto. Is that what that says? West of DeSoto. So that's going to be in this area here where, yes, that's right on the hook with this storm.
Near Highway 21.
Yeah, you're hooking right around. So this is just west and northwest of DeSoto near Highway 21. That's an area that is of concern for the potential of a tornado. So here's State Highway P. If you're in DeSoto right now, just kind of tracking this out. But there's Clark Street, there's the Rock Road, State Road Y goes out of DeSoto. It's in this general vicinity where we are seeing that very clear rotation. Now, it may not be touching the ground right now, but spotters can see that rotation, which means at any moment a tornado could drop out of the sky, and you need to be in your safe place. In the Hillsborough area right now, looks like torrential rain and potentially some hail happening in the Hillsborough area now, although the bigger hail looks like it's farther north of that up towards Morse Mill. So this is the one problematic storm that has prompted this tornado warning, which continues now for central and southern portions of Jefferson County. The spin located very close to DeSoto right now, and it is going to move east out of DeSoto along Highway 110, and that'll take it over towards Olympian Village, over towards Victoria, and then eventually towards Selma. And eventually it will cross Highway 67. 67, your favored route to get to Farmington from St. Louis. So you have a lot of people that go up and down 67, pick up 55 south of Festus to come into town. Now's not the time to be making that trek. Okay, we're going to stay put if we can in all of these areas. We have northern portions of Crawford County back into the western portions of Franklin County and Gascony County with flash flood warnings. There is water flowing over the roads in many places, especially those low water crossings are full. We also have potentially some bridges washing out or some culverts washing out. You can't tell that that is happening if you're driving in flooded water. You don't know if there's actually road bed underneath you. So in those areas, we are not going to drive through the flooded waters. Back into tracking this tornado, I want to give you all a heads up. If this storm holds together and you're in Maystown, you're in Redbud, you're in Prairie du Rocher, Ruma, Illinois, anywhere along the Mississippi here, along WIM 55 going into southern portions of Monroe County, northern portions, even northern portions of St. Genevieve County and northern portions of Randolph County. If this storm continues to maintain its strength and moves east, there's the potential you could be under a threat of a tornado within the next hour or so. Start thinking about plans here over into southern Monroe County of where your safe place is and where you would end up going, Tipton, Renault, Fultz, in the event that a tornado warning were issued for you and that storm moves in your general direction. There's another MODOC camera, and that's I-55 in Jefferson County down towards the Herc area, Herculaneum. And you're really picking it up here from Imperial south to Peevely down to Festus. This is just rain right now. In fact, I'm going to kind of try to get in and look at the trees a little bit. The trees are moving a bit, but the strongest winds don't seem to be right there right now. Let's just look a quick look at the velocity, and that doesn't look too terrible there, but where it does look bad is here back out towards Hillsborough. That's a lot of strong wind west of Hillsborough showing up right now. And that's live in Hillsborough right now from the weather tracker. That looks like that's pea-size, maybe some dime-size hail mixing in there. Could get a little bit larger as the system swings on through the area right now. And again, there's some strong winds approaching even the Potosi area, gusty winds not necessarily associated with a thunderstorm per se, although the storm is back behind you, but the gusty winds on the leading edge of this, they don't look as severe as that one area that we were tracking and that we still are tracking that right now is very close to DeSoto. That's Imperial right now on 55. Let's get back to the radar here. I want to show you very closely. This is the circulation coming into DeSoto. In this area where Highway 110 comes in north of town to 21 and 21 right through DeSoto, we have the potential here of a tornado. This is where the circulation is in this general area. That includes Victoria. You folks need to be in your safe place right now, in your basement, in an interior room, a hallway, a bathroom, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. We're going to stay in that safe place. We just got a new scan until this slides by. The rain and maybe a bit of hail starting to pick up now in the DeSoto area. Hematite, you're also looking at that up to Hillsborough. We just saw some of that hail in Hillsborough. The hail is actually larger off to the west and northwest of Hillsborough right now. All of this is tracking pretty steadily at about 30 miles per hour off to the east. So now the heavy rain has enveloped 55. You don't want to be driving on, we have folks that stream the 5+ app even in their cars as they're driving because, it got dark and it kind of gets a little scary and they want to know what's going on. So this is the area to watch here going south on 55. You don't want to drive out of the rain and then bam, you're in a tornado. So it's best just to, wait until this system passes by. I will say the hail core has let up considerably from what it was, so that's good news. Richwoods, you're still getting drenching rain, but you're no longer under the tornado warning. That tornado warning, central, southern portions of Jefferson County right now. Okay?
1 inch, we have 1 inch hail reported in Morse Mill, that's in Jefferson County. We were just talking about that. That is from the National Weather Service weather reporter. And we are looking at Hillsborough right now, but Morse Mill appears to be taking the brunt of that hailstorm at the moment. We also have more school districts adding to our list of schools that are canceling after-school activities. They're not canceling school. They're going to release, if the weather permits, at the usual time. But new on the list, Fox C6, Rockwood, along with Ladue, Festus, Wentzville, and Parkway school districts, all going to cancel after-school activities for today only. Scott?
All right, Jimmy, what do you have on the power outages right now?
It's amazing how limited the power outages are, but let's say Crawford County, 1,000 without power, 353 in Washington County, Gasconade County, 634, and Franklin County, 205. So far, Jefferson County is looking good, but as this storm obviously rolls through here with not only the large hail, the high wind, and a possible tornado, we'll be seeing more power outages here very soon.
I would think so, and we have a new flash flood warning because of this storm producing the torrential rain and hail. So now the flash flood warning does include all of Jefferson County, and it goes south down towards Festus, northern portions of Washington County. It even clips south of 44. It even clips part of St. Louis County, it looks like. So that's a new flash flood warning. Again, there is torrential rain, large hail with this, as you see from the traffic cameras on the side there. Traffic incredibly slow. We recommend staying put until this goes away and moves out. Now, the circulation that we've been tracking down here in Jefferson County at this moment, it's still spinning. It's very close to or just maybe east of DeSoto right now. Still spinning, but you notice all these storms that have kind of been building in from the back, from the southwest. They may be competing with this somewhat for the instability that's available for this storm. So that could either do one or two things. We could have some cell mergers happening and things could get bad really fast, or it could put a kibosh on the circulations and weaken the whole thing. we don't know what's going to happen. It's like kind of making a recipe for the first time. Sometimes you're not sure exactly what all those ingredients are going to do, and that's the case here. So we're looking at that cell. Looks like the circulation here is somewhere along and north of 110 towards Olympian Village, about ready to cross over Highway 67. It will be pushing towards 55 in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So Jimmy, those are the areas that we have to watch here. And just a real quick track on this. Let me stop it for a second.
And you notice that notch near DeSoto, just to let you know, even from Jim at the Weather Service, so lots of wall cloud reports in the DeSoto area.
Yeah, and there's your kind of your timeline there. Olympian Village, Soma, over to Danbury or Danby. These are all, this includes 55. That's where our potential tornado is going to be at this point as we go through the next few minutes. So again, it's an evolving situation this afternoon, one that is concerning. Don't want to forget you folks down in Cuba. You're still dealing with some of this torrential rain between Steelville and Cuba right now. That's not severe, but it's already aggravating the flooding situation that's ongoing there. And now the flooding situation will get worse here as we push east through Jefferson County. Most of Jefferson County will end up with a heavier rain, and noticing some cells starting to bubble up down around Farmington. They're not severe. Also close to Viburnum. We'll be tracking those. And then in the rest of the metro area, there's nothing severe or concerning at this point. Everything that concerns us is focused south of St. Louis, Kay.
Right, Sullivan right now, we are hearing water over the road near the Dollar General. Again, this is a snapshot of just one location. This is happening in many areas in and around Sullivan. We've also had reports of golf ball-sized hail in Ditmer in Jefferson County and 1-inch hail in Morris Mill. We have a shot on your screen right now of hail falling. I believe that's from our storm tracker. Tracy Hinson is out and about looking for severe weather, and there it is. We have hail falling. It doesn't look like golf ball or 1-inch hail, but definitely reports of some damaging hail. You want to stay under cover. You want to keep your car under cover if you can, in a garage.
Yeah, and I know baseball-sized hail just makes the worst sound. But don't go out and try to get it until this storm passes. There's a tremendous amount of lightning, which in and of itself is a dangerous thing. Here's your circulation right now, and it's just kind of wrapping here through DeSoto. We haven't had anything confirmed at this point other than law enforcement could see, or ham radio or weather spotters could see the tight circulation. They could see the rotating clouds, but did not see anything touching the ground just yet. But Olympian Village, Oakvale, it's about to cross Highway 67 along Highway 110 here. State Road CC, you folks in this area need to be in your safe place. We'll say Victoria too, over to Interstate 55. Selma's in there. State Road T and Double T. All of you folks need to be in your safe place right now. This is where that potential tornado is spinning. Now, as Jimmy pointed out a few minutes ago, we don't have a huge number of power outages, which is a good thing because that tells us that perhaps the wind hasn't been as bad on a wide scale basis, but we still have this circulation in here right now. Let's pull up the velocity and see what it looks like here. Again, it's a little muddled, but this is where our circulation is in this general vicinity. Maybe spinning up here just off to the east of DeSoto. And again, Olympian Village seems to be the prime target for a tornado if, in fact, it is going to drop a tornado here. So you need to be in your safe place in these areas. The other thing, in addition to that hail that we were talking about up towards Hillsborough here, you're going to see gusty winds. There are some strong winds embedded there. There are still some strong 35 to 45 mile per hour winds behind this initial strong storm with the pouring rain that's occurring right now. So again, our circulation is really in this area that's down here, that's just gone east of DeSoto towards Olympian Village right now. That's where our potential tornado is, and the tornado warning goes east and may get extended into Monroe County. We don't know yet. We're waiting to see how this storm evolves. There's a lot of competition here from this storm that's down towards Potosi trying to fight with it for instability. This cell that's down towards Viburnum we have to watch because that area has not been impacted down here by any other activity. So storms that are out by themselves, they have this whole atmosphere that's basically untouched and ready, fueled, and ready to go and fire more storms. But our tornado warning, including the potential for large hail and damaging winds in addition to a tornado, does include the central and southern portions of Jefferson County, and especially that area around Olympian Village right now and heading south of Festus and going on to the east towards Selma. You need to be in your safe place. Jimmy?
Yeah, you know, so just checking out the Weather Service chat here. Heavy golf ball to baseball size hail in Hillsborough per trooper. I've got the Hillsborough camera up on Max 1 if you want to take that. And it does look like there's a little bit of white now showing up on the ground there, but we're not really seeing it bouncing off the ground. Again, that is in Max 1, guys, if we can take that. Other than that, you know, within the supercell, you not only have that tornado warning and circulations being spotted in many areas. In fact, Tracy Henson just sent us in some hail from Hillsborough. So you've got the hail, you've got the high wind, and you've got that lightning out there too. You want to stay inside and away from windows as this is going through. And I think, Scotty, that's Max 1 right there. Can you tell the white on the ground? A little bit of hail for
Looks
sure
like
accumulating.
it, yeah, sure does look like it. It's not a pleasant day at the Jefferson College campus right now, and they're safe. All of our educational institutions around the area, your school district and your neighborhood, you know, they have plans. All right, it looks like they just extended that tornado warning. It's going to come on this.
Monroe County now?
And yes, going right across the river. Let me clear that off. Let's see. There we go. So taking this storm with its rotation near Olympian Village, that tornado warning now extended into northern portions of St. Genevieve County, the northwest corner, including Prairie to Rocher of Randolph County, and then a good chunk here of Monroe County. So let me pull that back just a little bit. Waterloo to Valmeyer to Maystown to Fultz, that's where that is. And I'm on Max 2, operating on Max 2 here. But there's where your new tornado warning is. And again, it's for that circulation that's located near Olympian Village that's going to pass very close to or just south of Festus, cross Interstate 55, and then go east. Listen to the sound. This is Tracy Henson in the 5 on Your Side storm tracker getting pounded with the hail right now in Hillsborough. And you can see it is quite the impressive storm that's going through the Hillsborough area right now. The circulation, potential for any tornado.
And Scott, I think we just lost power here as well.
Oh, you think? Okay. So it's not out of the question. How are the winds, Tracy?
Yeah, the gas station lights went off. Oh my gosh, they're so strong. So we're actually surrounded by cars on all sides of us, but we can still feel our car shaking around. You know, we're under the awning here. We've seen probably quarter-sized hail, and then it just picked up a little bit here with very heavy rain. The road is actually not too far in front of me, but I can hardly see it. So there's that road there, and we would have a regular view, but it is quite strong. And I hear our Mark Mowry getting in the car. Mark is soaked. Mark, how was it out there? He was looking at that hail earlier. He's got a good sense of humor about it, but Mark is soaked. We've got that hail that's come down pretty good here at a good clip, but this is such heavy rainfall, Scott. These rainfall rates are really overwhelming the roadways out here.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the big case here this afternoon. In addition to our tornado threat, this is the part of the storm that has the circulation right over Olympian Village. There is rotation with this cloud. National Weather Service employees actually are somewhere in that vicinity, and they are advising that there is definitely rotation in the cloud. No visible funnel at this point, but it's rotating, and we can tell that on the radar. Where Tracy is here in Hillsborough, all right, that's where the hail is falling. That's where you see that brighter magenta or really dark red. That is moving to the east. So you have a combination. I think the northern part of this storm, if you're in Monroe County along Illinois 156 going into Waterloo from Valmeyer, those are the areas that probably get the heaviest hail. As you go from Festus to Maystown to Fultz, this is going to be the area where we are most concerned about a tornado threat. Let's get over to Kay.
All right, Scott, we have JT Hardy. He is the city administrator for the city of Sullivan, Missouri, on the phone with us now. JT, thank you so much for joining us in this severe weather situation. You've been doing a great job keeping us updated. Anything new on the water rescue on 185 at East Vine? Okay, can you unmute your mic, JT? That's what we're hearing, is it may be your phone. If you could unmute your mic, and we're going to get an update right now. Sullivan, this afternoon, the hardest hit area. JT, it's take point at 205. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes, we can. Anything new on the water rescue at 185 and East Vine?
It is actually 185, I believe, Spur, located on South 185 near the state park. I don't have information on that. It's a fire department MoDOT rescue right now. We're closing down, say, Highway 185 north because of the flooding across it in several roadways. We're just being inundated with water right now. I don't know if you have video or not.
We have seen the flooding in Sullivan and water over the road on I-44 near the Dollar General. We've been getting all kinds of reports. What is your biggest emergency at the moment that you're dealing with?
Well, tree removal from the high winds and the activity we had in the area. Some power, but mostly right now it's flooding. We have several places that are flooding over roadways, people trying to drive through. It makes the recovery effort really hard right now.
Do you have a warning for residents of the Sullivan area or information, a directive you'd like them to follow at this point?
I would say right now that the best thing to do is not to travel. If they could stay in a secure location, as long as they're elevated away from any kind of floodway or floodplain, even ones that aren't normally flooded. But staying at home right now, out of the way of the emergency responders, would probably be a great thing to do.
Describe the problem with downed trees, which we've heard there are many that have been snapped at the base.
It hasn't.
Many trees down. What else can you tell us about that?
The winds, of course, other than just causing transportation issues, blocking streets for emergency responders and for citizens, they also affect the power lines, which can, cause people to be without power, and especially individuals who may need that for medical purposes. The ambulance is responding to different places for people on situations like that. It's just really hard to travel right now.
And this is the second day in a row you've had to deal with this. We had the tornado yesterday at Open Bar and the assorted damage that came from that storm. How are you dealing with day 2 of this?
Well, at least we had the opportunity to, know ahead of time that something was coming. As far as how we're dealing with it, right now, yesterday was a situation where we responded, we secured, we made sure that everything was stable as much as possible, and then today we're just seeing the evidence of things that may have been weakened yesterday and then came down today. But this is a totally different event today. Yesterday was a tornado that came through really fast. Then guys cleared up and allowed us to work on the trees, the power, and everything else. But today it's hard to work when we can't go anywhere, and the rain just keeps coming.
Can you recap and tell me what main roadways are underwater right now?
Currently, Highway 185 north at the north and south intersection, much of North and South Road, Blair Street, portions of Elmont Road, several roads over in, between Main Street and our, say, Lakeview Drive, Dunnigan, those areas. Interstate 44 has potential risk, if not already. I think it's underwater at 230. As you mentioned, the water rescue on Highway 185 South. It's all over right now.
Have there been any reports of anyone injured?
I do not know for sure about injuries due to flooding at this time. or any trees or anything like that. Most of it seems to be possible car accidents due to the weather, or people that are trapped.
And do you have any word on power outages in the Sullivan area?
As far as the city of Sullivan's concerned, we have our own municipal utility. We've had some brownouts. I don't know that anyone is currently totally without power. I know that the co-op around us also has some down poles and may have some outages as well.
JT Hardy, Sullivan City Administrator, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Please stay safe. Let us know again what information we can get to your residents, because we are at your service ready to get that out. But once again, thank you so much for joining us. So again, many roads underwater in the Sullivan area, lots of flash flooding, car accidents as a result, and also a water rescue on 185, and that is closed right now in that East Vine area, Scott.
Yeah, and we still have the tornado warning in effect here. Circulations approaching Festus, kind of between Olympian Village and Festus right now. Looks like it's just south of Festus. We'll be crossing over 55. So far, we haven't had anything confirmed as far as a touchdown. All radar indicated rotation, but that tornado warning is extended eastward to include much of Monroe County, especially central and southern portions of Monroe County, and then the northwest corner of Randolph County and the far northern portions of St. Genevieve County. Although it really would appear that it's going to be a stretch for that circulation to get into St. Genevieve County at this point, based on how fast it's moving. But that's your circulation very close to Festus there, and it is moving off towards the east at this point, and it is moving fairly quickly as it slides at about 30 miles per hour eastbound. So this is going to be crossing right over 55 to go along with that torrential rain that is falling once you go south of Arnold down 55. This is hail in the area from Festus, between Festus and Peevely, right by the racetrack. You know, you're getting a torrential rain at the racetrack, I think, as you go farther south here towards McNutt and, you know, down towards Highway A. This is where you really get into that larger hail. Also towards Mappaville out on Highway Z, you're looking at hail perhaps up to the size of golf balls, maybe a little bit larger. So while the tornado warning here does include Maystown and up to Valmeyer, I think for you folks in Valmeyer and Waterloo, your major concern would be for hail that's destructive, up to the size of baseballs in a worst case scenario with this system. Certainly golf ball size hail is not out of the question, but some of it could get to the size of baseballs. Then once you get from this Maystown to Festus line and a little farther to the south, that's where we're tracking the circulation and the potential that we're going to see a tornado spin up as it pushes to the east. That includes Fultz as well. This includes the areas here along Highway 3 and the Bluff Road. So, you know, just keep this in mind as you're making your way across the Mississippi River into southern portions of Monroe County. That circulation will be in Monroe County in about 15 minutes or so, and it's definitely capable of producing a tornado. So you need to be in your safe place at this point. The other problem, as Kay was mentioning, has been the excessive rainfall and the flash flood warning that's in effect now from Jefferson County going west all the way to Gasconade County and then down to the south. A whole bunch of areas here with flooded roads and significant weather problems related to that this afternoon. But that tornado warning, eastern portions of Jefferson County, far northern St. Genevieve County, northern portions of Randolph County, really the northwest sliver of it, and then into central and southern portions of Monroe County in Illinois as these storms advance to the east. Okay?
Scott, we are now getting reports of the tornado sirens going off in Waterloo, Illinois. Just in the past few minutes, one of our employees reporting he's along Route 3 in Waterloo and hearing the sirens there.
Yeah, and the tornado warning in effect for that area, so you would expect to hear the sirens go off here. Again, for Waterloo, I think the biggest impact for you is from the destructive hail. And that's Waterloo in the top box there on your screen, right over there.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so I think the biggest threat there, and for most of central portions of Monroe County here in Illinois, will end up being from this cluster of really large hail that's between Festus and Peevely. It's that circulation that we have concerns about here as we go down into the area just south of Festus. You know, we're really looking at that right in here, and right where it splits, right where you hit the 67 split. That's about where we're seeing the rotation right now, in this general vicinity, and it's sliding to the east. So Maystown, you're in the path of that circulation. To the north of that, with this supercell storm, that's where you see the exceedingly large hail. We're talking hail, perhaps golf balls to baseballs. That's giant size hail that could be impacting a good chunk of the area there. And then going over towards Valmeyer and heading towards Waterloo, that's where your hail threat will be. There's some of that really large hail from a viewer, Kenzie, sharing with us. That looks like it's pretty darn close to baseball size hail. Again, that's going to do a lot of damage here. And if you're in a vulnerable home, mobile home, a manufactured home, in these areas that are under the threat for that potential tornado, you need to be in more substantial shelter. Maybe you have a storm cellar, maybe you have some neighbors just a little ways away. You have some time here to scoot and skedaddle off to the east of Festus here, over towards Maystown and Fultz, east of the Mississippi River. You have just a few minutes to get to more substantial shelter, but you don't want to spend this in a mobile home, especially with the gusty winds. More heavy rain and potentially some smaller hail now coming in on the backside of this, and probably with some pretty good winds around DeSoto as well. Jimmy, have we had any additional power outages to report on this with some of this wind?
You know, just checking Crawford County, about 1,028, and then you have 502 in Washington County. Amazing, only 16 reported out in Jefferson County at this point. Franklin County, 283, and Gasconade about 610. So obviously, as this storm moves to the east and into Monroe County, Illinois, we should have a lot more power outages. Surprisingly, we're not seeing as many in Jefferson County at this point.
Which means even though we see the wind on the radar, it's not necessarily reaching the ground with the storms, but that's okay. As long as it stays up in the clouds, it doesn't become a bigger problem for us, right? We're getting reports here just west of Festus now of golf ball size hail, and you can bet this area really going into right here, Festus, Crystal City, here's McNutt. You're going to see hail here up to the size between ping pong, golf ball size, maybe up to baseball size hail as this tracks off to the east. That is a significant threat for you too. That's going to head over towards Monroe City and eventually towards Wartburg and head up towards Valmeyer and Waterloo. The circulation, which is just to the south and southeast of Festus, that's what we have to watch as it heads towards Maystown. That's where the potential that we could spin up a tornado will be. And then there's more and additional heavy rainfall behind this. So our tornado warning, really it's twofold, okay? You have the circulation with the potential tornado here south of Festus. And we're trying to communicate the threats as best we can to you this afternoon. But the tornado threat looks to be just south of Festus and then stretches east across towards Fultz and south of Waterloo, really towards Maystown. Then on the northern side of this tornado warning, we have the large hail. You're not likely to see a tornado up here just south of Barnhart to Peevely, but you are looking at the larger hail, and that's what you're likely to see head towards Waterloo. The reason why it's a larger tornado warning for this scenario is to try to prevent confusion, because there would be multiple other types of warnings here right now. So we got you all on alert. Everybody's phone's gone off. That's why the tornado warning's in effect for the circulation south of Festus. But if you're north of Festus and you're going over towards Valmeyer and into Waterloo, you're going to have to deal with that hail too as that pushes on towards the east. And that hail is a really big, as you just saw, a really big threat, because some of it's the size of baseballs, and it's just crossed over Highway 55. I don't know if we have a camera down here, if you guys can pull up one of those cameras. There's 55 right now. You see not only at Festus, you see there the wind is kind of howling around. I suspect that you're missing the hail there because the hail is a little bit farther to the north. But yeah, trucks are going through because trucks do what trucks do, but everybody else has got to slow it down and slow it down considerably. And a lot of these people, if they're going northbound on 55, are going to run into that big hail. And if they didn't slow down and kind of pause, they're going to pay for it when they have to buy a new windshield. So the tornado is now about ready, that circulation's about ready to cross over the Mississippi River, it looks like, and head towards Monroe County. This is where we're seeing that circulation, down here close to the Selma area. This is where we need you to be in your safe place. As you go farther north, if you're in Valmeyer or Waterloo, you don't need to go to the basement, but boy, you need to be inside and away from windows and doors, because if this wind-driven hail moves over you, it very easily could break windows, and there'd be a lot of broken glass. Remember, we're wearing our shoes all afternoon long. Just putting them on now, and we're keeping them on. I'm going to pull this back out because we need to reset. We're about 1:15 now. I want to get you back to a broader view just so you can see what's going on elsewhere. A lot of people in St. Louis are saying, it's dark outside, I'm hearing thunder, I want to know what's going on. So yes, there are thunderstorms in South St. Louis County. There are thunderstorms and showers in St. Charles County, going up towards Troy, over to Hardin, over to Jerseyville. You've got them in Carrollton. You've got them in Chesterfield, Illinois, Farmersville. There's some heavier rain up there, but none of this to the north is severe. None of this, okay? And even the stronger storms that are out here around Herman that are trying to flare up right now, none of those are particularly notable. Yes, there's some stronger storms north of the Missouri River, but they're not severe. The air to our south here is much more unstable. These storms towards Potosi down to Belgrade, and this is going into southern portions, south of Highway 8, going into southern portions of Washington County, they seem to be strengthening a little bit, so we have to keep our eyes on those. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning for this little segment that's kind of bowing out here as it crosses Highway 67. That just came out, that's the stretch going from Olympian Village down towards Park Hills and Valley Mines. Now we have a severe thunderstorm warning that stretches east from there over into St. Genevieve County and the western portions of Randolph County. No circulation indicated there. Your main threat for that is going to be from the potential of strong winds based on how it's bowing out there to 60 miles per hour. So that's a severe thunderstorm warning. That goes until 2 o'clock, and it's northern portions of St. Francis County, central and northern portions of St. Genevieve County, and then goes over into western portions of Randolph and southern portions of Monroe County. We go up to the tornado warning here, and I will move that just a little farther south. We still have our tornado warning. It's in effect here. And really, it's for this area just about to cross out of Jefferson County and moving into Monroe County. That's where that circulation is. That's where the largest hail is, although you've got a new hail core that's kind of spiking up here southwest of Festus, it looks like. So let's see if we can get there. And that's 55 you're looking at right now. Where was the intersection on that?
55 and 61.
Oh, it's 55 in Festus, okay.
Also, multiple reports of ping pong to golf ball sized hail near hematite in Jefferson County right now.
Yeah, and we're going to see that spread over here into Illinois. Again, if you're Festus to Maystown, south to Fultz, that's where we've had our circulation in here. Looks like we may be developing something else trying to nudge in a little farther south. But if you're in Fultz, if you're in the area, I'm kind of just getting out ahead of this. Fultz and Renault along the Bluff Road here. There's 155 that goes through here. You need to be in your safe place. This is the area where you have the potential to see that rotation go right over your head. Other strong storms are developing farther to the south. These things are putting down huge amounts of rain and hail. That's been causing flooding, especially on some of the secondary and side roads. We don't know some of those roads we heard around Sullivan. may have been washed out, like the culvert washed out. You don't know if the road's flooded when you're trying to drive on that. You just see water. If you're riding along and it's washed out underneath you, your car goes down and then it goes off and you're in big trouble. So let's stay off the roads when we do not drive through roads where there is water covering the roads right now. That's the best advice we can give post thunderstorm after this rain's going along. Kay, you've got a whole bunch more information for us.
JT Hardy, the city manager in Sullivan, gave us a list of areas with water on the road. Main and Lakeview Drive, 185 at the north and south intersections, Elmont Road, Blair Street. The list is long. This is just a small little list of many places that are underwater at this point because of all the heavy rain that's been falling. We can let you know that we were receiving reports of a water rescue earlier, 185 south of Vine Drive. We are told everyone is safe in that situation, but there is still water on the road at 185, and that route remains closed. You do not want to go there. I-44 at mile marker 230, water on the road there, and this is 55 at Eagle Crest. You can get an idea of just how much all of that heavy rain is affecting visibility. You can't really see at all. Many people have their headlights on, but as we all know, that's not even helpful in a situation like this. So we're asking you, via the emergency management folks we've been talking with, please stay home and stay off the roads if you don't need to be out, especially if you're in one of the counties to the south of the city of St. Louis.
Yeah, the immediate metro area right now, there's really not that much to be concerned about until you get to the Jefferson County line and then going south. And that's where we've had all of our problems so far, really, it seems like. Yes, it's pouring in Arnold right now, and there's some pretty intense rain into southern portions of St. Louis County, but that's not severe. It may have some 35 to 45 mile per hour winds, but that's not the problem. This really is the problem. This has been the one cell all day long. Really, for the last, what, Jim, 2 hours? We've been
2 hours,
Yeah.
yeah. And luckily only one tornado warning and no confirmation of a touchdown
and
yet.
we've been tracking the same storm with the same, keep extending the tornado warning based on the rotation. And the rotation's greater at the upper levels than it is at the lowest level. We're not seeing as much, but we're also starting to note that hail core kind of growing here as we work our way east of DeSoto. That's going to push that, the area just north of Festus had some of the larger hail. Let me stop it right there. Let's go all the way over. So here's the area. This is west of Monroe City. There's Mitchie. There's northeast of Festus. This area went through, south of Peevely, Crystal City. You had some heavier hail in here. You still do. That's working its way east. That's probably going to impact areas around Monroe City and up towards Valmeyer. We're very close to it and head towards Wartburg. But just in the last few scans, we've started to see this area east of Olympian Village. Remember, we've said a lot about Olympian Village in the last hour because that's where that rotation, that circulation was moving over. Well, that circulation's over here now. And this storm is starting to interact with other storms that are down to the south of it. And it looks like it's pulsed up some hail here. So wouldn't be surprised in this area to also be seeing some 2 to 3 inch size hail. So maybe up to baseball size hail with that. And then you've got this little Boeing segment that's stretching out here that's gone east of 67 that's approaching northern portions of St. Genevieve County, I should say. That's French Village, although the worst of it's probably going to go north of French Village. And then towards Kinsey here, that's in northern portions of St. Genevieve County. That's likely to produce 50 to 60 mile per hour winds or stronger. So, there's a severe thunderstorm warning for that cell as well. So this is our severe weather that's ongoing right now. Storm down towards Belgrade here, far southern portions of Washington County. We do have to watch that. It has an atmosphere that it's working with. As you see, there's not much development back to the south. So there's still quite a bit of instability able to flow into that storm for it to take advantage and perhaps strengthen a little more. So we'll be tracking that for the next hour or two. Right now, no warning on it, but it certainly is a strong storm. Large hail coming into Monroe County. It's crossed over 55. We've had all the reports around Festus with that. You've got large hail also now pretty close to that Olympian Village area. This last scan kind of lowered that a little bit, which that's okay. But that is going to head towards Fultz, and between Maystown over towards the river, that's where we still have this circulation and the potential there that we are going to see some more activity there as time rolls on with hail, and maybe we're going to spin something up. But that's our tornado warning, our severe thunderstorm warning. To the south of that, it has a tornado possible tag, which means if it can access some spin, it's not out of the question for something to spin up out of that. The storm of interest, though, has been the one that has the tornado warning and has had the tornado warning as it's been marching from west to east across our area. And looking back to the west, there are thunderstorms developing farther to the west. I want to just go really quickly back out here and check in on Springfield's radar. There are more thunderstorms developing out here. So that's what's coming later today. We'll see how this morning's activity and this early afternoon activity impacts things, but this is actually round number 2 that we may see it later on today. So just kind of putting that out there so you know what's coming, Jim. This is going to be a kind of a long duration thing where we get through this round maybe within the next hour and a half or so, and then we'll start getting ramped up for the next round that comes after it. Any power outages?
Yeah, let me check that real quick. So yeah, later today we're going to see that second round likely form, and it usually follows that instability like this giant cluster or this supercell did, which was south of St. Louis. So more later today. Let me refresh this, and then we got still about the same. Crawford County, 1,028, 506 in Washington County, Gasconade County about 610, 294 in Franklin County, and about 140 now in Jefferson County. So a little bit more power outages now noted in Jefferson County. But again, the thunderstorms have been around the St. Louis area. They've been sub-severe. Also around Wentzville, you might have heard some thunder and had some downpours, but that main focus has been this supercell Scotty's been tracking with rotation. And thank goodness we have not seen any confirmations of any touchdowns of this supercell and the tornado, but that warning continues. And that warning will continue for not only Monroe County, but also northwestern Randolph County, southeastern Jefferson County, north central St. Genevieve County. And that is for just a little bit more here, about 145, and it's 127 now. So again, just watching that rotation, and also that hail with it has been up to tennis ball size, but we're getting more numerous reports of golf ball size hail near the Festus area. Scotty?
Yeah, and Kay, you've got an update for us?
We're getting additional reports of the water problem on the roads down in the Sullivan area. We now know that Winslow Creek in Sullivan, the water is very high, flowing rapidly. The road there is closed. We also understand there is now a flood warning for the Merrimack River near Sullivan until May 12th at 11 a.m. The rivers and creeks are just overflowing at this point. If you know a road you use to, get around, you are going to want to avoid that at least for the rest of today, if not for at least a couple of days. We also got an update on the water rescue earlier. No one was injured. That has been resolved. However, 185 is still closed due to water on the road there. It's one of those areas that early on just took on a lot of water, and you will not be able to use that route.
Well, and if you've been outside and actually walked in the grass somewhere in the last few days, you know that the ground is just sopping wet right now. So all of this water, and we're seeing a tremendous amount of rainfall out of this, along with the large hail, which melts and flows right into the rivers as well. And you get the Merrimack River down there by Sullivan, Steelville, very flashy because it's very small. Beautiful float streams, but they're small. And so when you get the heavy rain like this, they take giant jumps. And the smaller creeks and streams take those giant jumps even faster before they get to the larger rivers. So that's something of concern. The tornado warning continuing here for at least a little bit longer. Not sure how much longer they'll keep it going on this storm. As we seem to, it's getting much more muddled here as far as any circulation per se, but we still have somewhat of an indication that There is at least some spin there close to faults, but it may not be in the lowest level. The hail, as we told you, Maystown seems to have refocused and shifted a little bit farther south towards Maystown. That hail also shifting farther to the south here as you go down along Interstate 55 here in northern portions of St. Genevieve County, southern portions of Jefferson County from Danby down towards Kinsey. That's where some of the larger hail is, and that is going to continue off to the east. And that's in Sullivan, the Sullivan area. Yeah, 185.
So this is Route 185 we've been talking about, where about an hour ago a water rescue took place. You can see the barricades are up. The water is running very high in this area. The road is closed, and luckily no one was hurt. That's the good news that we're getting.
Yeah, and the other thing, Kate, you see the barricade was there, right in the middle of the road. It goes back, and there's the barricade. If you come up on this, you know, our road crews only have so many resources to go out and put a sign out or get a barricade up. Don't drive around the barricade. They're there for a reason. So, and if there's water over the road and there is no barricade, then don't drive into it, because it can be flowing under there. You don't know how fast it's flowing, and you only need 6 to 12 inches, really 12 to 18 inches will take an SUV moving. If it's swift flowing water, it'll move it right off the wheels, off the road, and take it away. Or the road could be washed out underneath and you have problems. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning here. We were talking just a few minutes ago about that storm down towards Belgrade and southern portions of Washington County. We now have a new severe thunderstorm warning for that storm, and that takes it east into St. Francis County. So we're going to take this storm, and it looks like it now is capable of producing hail up to the size of quarters. And the hail will probably, it's crossing Highway 21 right now, and Irondale to the north of Irondale is probably where that largest hail will go. The storm that's in Park Hills right now is not severe. It's that storm that's west of Irondale that's heading towards you that has prompted the National Weather Service to post that warning, severe thunderstorm warning for Washington and St. Francis County. That's in addition to the severe thunderstorm warning here for eastern portions of St. Francis County. The storm that went through Bonne Terre now pushing east into northern portions of St. Genevieve County. Strong winds with this. This may develop some circulation as well before all is said and done. We'll see what happens with that. Still the tornado warning here as you work your way up into portions of Monroe, central southern Monroe County, and then into the northwest corner there of Randolph County in Illinois. Redbud to Prairie to Rocher, Maystown, Fultz, all part of that. Not sure if they're going to extend that tornado warning there because it's becoming more diffuse, that circulation is. In fact, if we pop on the velocity, there's a lot to see here. This looks more like strong winds that's in northern portions of St. Genevieve County. Far southern portions of Jefferson County, that looks like a brighter area of stronger winds. You also have the area around Prairie to Rocher that looks like some stronger winds. And then you have that circulation down here towards Belgrade. And that is, you know, that's a rotating thunderstorm. By the time the radar beam gets out there, it's shooting very high. So the storm is definitely got rotation to it, but it also has strong winds. And it's not looking like it's a tornadic thunderstorm at this point. But again, keep in mind, sometimes thunderstorms can and do produce tornadoes without much warning. You're looking there at Interstate 55, I believe, and again, the torrential rain coming down and the very slow traffic there. That's at 61. And you see people have their flashers on and are driving very slow. You know, they really end up slowing down when we get the hail that goes with these storms, that's for sure. And there's still a fair amount of hail with these storms. I don't know, Jimmy, about the power outages. I know you've been watching that and watching NWS chat as to what's going on there. But it looks like, we're losing that tornadic potential to some degree with these storms.
Yeah, it's amazing. 3 supercells and some rotation, but again, only 1 tornado warning. We've only seen 1 throughout the last couple of hours here. Hopefully that'll be the case and that'll continue.
Yeah, and so we're tracking this as it moves on to the east. There's a lot of hail here on 55, right there at the Jefferson-St. Genevieve County line. You also have some of that larger hail that's pretty close to Valmeyer, south of Waterloo. So it looks like Waterloo, you're probably going to miss the worst of the hail here. It's closer to Maystown. And you know, it's kind of missing you. So that's good, but it's still headed towards Highway 3, and we'll be crossing Highway 3 north of Tipton or near Tipton in the next few minutes. So still a lot going on here this afternoon with these storms south of St. Louis. Nothing in the immediate metro area is severe outside of these storms that are south of town in Monroe as well as Jefferson counties. So there's a lot to track here, and Jim, we keep watching these storms and looking to see if they can weaken some, but you know, then you've got the other storm developing down there in Bismarck, which is a problem as well.
Yeah, and it's moving into more unstable air to the east, so likely they'll at least stay together, and they continue to create this huge hail that's been in the area, and also very, very high wind at times, and also some very heavy rainfall. So flash flooding and the hail seems like it has been the biggest concern with all of these storms. But then you look around St. Louis, we've had you know, some thunder and lightning and some rain in the area. Look at the hail. And where is that out of? Hillsborough. That's Hillsborough. So that's how big some of this hail has been. Festus is coming next. This is out of Festus. And look how large that is, Scotty. And that's the hail that we've seen from Sullivan westward. And then further east now, and likely pushing into Monroe County in Illinois.
Yeah, and that's enough to cause a lot of damage too.
Huge damage. I'm sure reports will be coming out. Still looking for that.
Yeah, there's going to be another round of insurance claims here, and a new tornado warning just popping in for this storm down to the south, the one in Washington County. So let's go there. This is for that storm we were just talking about in Belgrade, how it had a circulation and it was rotating, but the level that the radar is hitting it's pretty high. But now it's starting to show that hook, that more classic supercell look. And so we have a new tornado warning that includes southeastern portions of Washington County, and then that stretches east now to include a good chunk of St. Francis County and into the western portions of St. Genevieve County. So your sirens are going to go off in Park Hills. They're going to go off and probably going off in Bonne Terre, although you're not impacted with this tornado threat in Bonne Terre, even if you hear the sirens. It is south. The track right now, that storm is located south of Irondale and southwestern portions of Washington County. This would be on the way if you've ever gone down to Johnson's Shut-ins or down, you know, to Elephant Rock State Park. You kind of have to go this back way to get down into that area, and that's where we are. So Irondale and into the area here, you know, east of Caledonia. So I'd say the circulation somewhere in here. That's Highway U, Dock Wallen Road. That's what's showing up on our screen here into the Irondale area. There's Scout Camp Road. Circulation's probably around Highway U here. Let's pop it into that velocity mode. And again, we're scanning kind of higher in the storm here. So the circulation, wind towards the radar, wind away from the radar. So there's your circulation. And it does look like it's off to the northwest of Bismarck right now. And that would take it towards Derby, assuming it's moving towards the east and northeast. That would take it towards Derby, towards the Park Hills area, towards Loughborough. And eventually, perhaps it gets into the Farmington area. We will see. Obviously, it could get that far. I'm going to put a track on this for you. And I think it's still moving about 30 miles per hour. So just kind of pulling it out, and that's where we're tracking it. Just pulled it out, and it goes over to Leadington, Farmington, Bismarck, and of course Leadington's also kind of the Park Hills area where they kind of merged all the towns there back in the day. So that is a new tornado warning now, southeastern Washington County, as well as St. Francis County and western portions of St. Genevieve County. So the broader view, all of the trouble is to the south of St. Louis right now. Yes, it's raining, and there are some pretty good thunderstorms in the metro area. Some of them are producing some heavy rain. There's nothing severe in St. Louis proper. Around 255, 270, nothing but rain right now. This is all rain to the north and west, but to the south is where we have our problems, and those areas specifically down here as we look into portions of Monroe County in Illinois, parts of Randolph County in Illinois, and then down really into St. Genevieve, St. Francis, and southeastern Washington counties. Those are our areas of concern right now. The tornado warning's still in effect here for just a little bit longer with this storm that's across, really, this bulk of it's across southern portions of Monroe County in Illinois. And then this new tornado warning is we have that bit of a hook there down towards Belgrade. That's going to try to push towards the east into that area towards Park Hills and towards Farmington in the next few minutes.
Yeah, it's amazing that, again, no confirmation. Just looking at the feed here, just again, Irondale reporting some larger hail, about quarter size. So that's right at severe level there north of Irondale on Highway U, Scotty, like you were talking about that. So again, watching that circulation as it crosses Highway U, and no confirmation of any touchdown, but everybody, even in Farmington. So again, just reading this, Farmington around 150, Deloge around 145. You do want to be in your safe shelter just in case this tornado is actually on the ground and moving your way.
All right, so again, that's what we have right now. Strong to severe thunderstorms. The severe thunderstorms are mainly south of St. Louis. There is that tornado watch in effect over southern portions of the area as well. Doesn't include St. Louis. And again, you're saying, well, it's pouring in my house. I live in St. Louis County. Yeah, but you're not under an immediate threat. It's pouring, it's okay. These are the areas down to the south where the storms are much more significant and have a history of producing hail up to the size, maybe larger than baseballs, and still are producing large hail, at least to golf ball size in some cases, and there's some circulations indicative of the potential for tornadoes. Tornado warning continuing here in Monroe County. That one I think is set to expire here in a few minutes. Let me just check on that real fast. I think it's set to go. Yeah, I think they're going to let that one probably go and go with a severe thunderstorm warning after that. And then the next tornado warning is the one where you have the bit of a hook here, really starting to show that classic supercell look down coming out of southeastern Washington County and then going over into southern portions and central portions of St. Francis County. That takes you from Park Hills down towards Farmington right now and out along Highway 32 as well. So we kind of zoom in on that because that seems to be the noticeable storm. Also an uptick here in the hail. You may be looking at hail up to the size of golf balls or larger that's about ready to push in along Highway 8 here as you go out of Park Hills, Leadwood, back to the west, out into the Mark Twain Forest. Again, very hilly terrain here. You're not going to be able to see a tornado very well because of all the trees and the hills. In the Irondale area and just to the north of Irondale, that's where we're likely seeing hail up to the size of golf balls. That's along Highway M right there. And then this is probably going to track right towards Mitchell and Leadwood as you're getting some of that hail now, but it's going to track towards Deloge and towards Park Hills. That's the hail part of the storm. The circulation part of the storm is now coming in towards Bismarck and is probably very close to the north side of Bismarck right now with that rotation in the clouds. And that's why you need to be in your safe place there in the Bismarck area over to Lowborough and along Highway 32 as you go into southern portions of Jefferson County. Kay, I know you had some information.
We were showing the spiky hail earlier and a lot of questions about what causes that. That's how turbulent that air is above. That hail just gets tossed around and tumbled within the cloud, and you end up with this irregular ice pattern and that spiky, jagged appearance. You know, we're all used to that round, smooth hail, but this is what's been falling today, and is that really an example of how turbulent this storm is?
Yeah, the storms are full of turbulence. They are full of wind. There's a lot of wind. And also when you start getting hail this large, Kay, what happens is maybe that initial small hailstone is bumping into larger drops of water and instantaneously freezing them while on the fly through the clouds. And sometimes you also get the smaller hailstones that start to stick to each other. And you get these really unusually large-shaped and dangerous hailstones, because they are spiky like that, easily breaking windows. That's our storm tracker right now down in Jefferson County, tracking these storms, and we've had Tracy Hinson out there throughout the morning now into this afternoon. That possible tornado with that circulation down there pretty close to Bismarck right now, that's where it looks like. Let's add the velocity in here and see if we see anything that stands out. And sometimes we have to be careful because we're looking very high in the storms, and we're kind of guesstimating here. The National Weather Service has time to kind of step through the different levels of the radar and look at a lot more information than we get to look at here as we bring you this on TV. But in this general area here, very close to Bismarck, somewhere in and around the Bismarck area, is most likely the area where we are seeing that circulation. It's very close to Highway 32. And again, as it pushes off to the east, that is going to take this area, pushing it between Park Hills and Farmington over the course of the next 15 to 20 minutes. That's why we have that tornado warning in effect there. So you should be in your safe place. Basement's best. If you don't have a basement, then you put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and you're basically going to a closet or a bathroom. We're all wearing our shoes this afternoon in case we have some broken glass. We don't want to be walking around in bare feet or socks with broken glass, and we're going to take something to protect our heads. That could be a pillow, maybe you've got a bicycle helmet hanging around. And these types of storms, these are not little spin-up tornadoes. If they drop, they would be a little more significant, and that's your area where we're seeing that spin very close to the Bismarck area right now, surging onto the east. Also surging, think this is some gusty winds here that are surging out from Bloomsdale that will be approaching the St. Genevieve area. So just keep that in mind. If you're in St. Genevieve, while it's not a tornadic situation, we don't believe, we would be looking at gusty winds here just based on that storm surging out. So you may have some 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. As much as it's rained over the last week and a half, you get a 50, 60 mile an hour wind gust, which under most cases, most of the trees would be fine. In a situation like this where the ground is sopping wet, it can blow those trees over and cause problems there. So again, that's another issue we face. And also the fact that we've had a tremendous amount of rain and the flash flooding that is ongoing across parts of Jefferson County, back into Franklin County, southern Gasconade County. Even though the rain has let up back to the west now, you still have all of that excessive water running off and quickly filling up those small creeks and streams, and then flowing eventually into the Merrimack, and eventually that will work its way into the main stem rivers. But everything that's severe right now is south of St. Louis. Just a quick look around the metro area. Yes, we're seeing thunderstorms blossom 270 on the north side of town, heading out towards Greenville, Illinois, and Carlisle Lake. None of this is severe. They just have some downpours, but none of this in the metro area is severe. It's just producing more rain for us, more thunder, more lightning. All of our severe weather remains to the south right now. And here's your new warning, replacing that tornado warning that was in effect, the one that was stretching basically the main storm, the first storm we were tracking that became severe. We've tracked that from the west all the way now into portions of St. Clair County, northern portions of Randolph County, and into southeastern portions of Monroe County in Illinois. So this includes, I believe, the Red Bud area and over towards New Athens. You're going to get this as a new severe thunderstorm warning. While you could still spin something up, the overall appearance of the storm to have that tight rotation doesn't seem to be in play at the moment, and that's a good thing. There's still hail up to the size of golf balls here, but really 156 going from Hecker to Waterloo, not a place you want to be traveling right now. At the very least, it's pouring with some pea-size hail. And from 159 and Route 3 from Ruma, Red Bud, all the way up to Hecker, you're going to get in on that heavier rain. You're already seeing it pretty much pouring, but you're going to get into more as time goes on, and some more hail with that. So that's our latest warning, and that will push off to the east. Some pretty good hail there towards Prairie du Rocher. And then we go back to our tornado-warned storm here that now continues to move into southern portions, that circulation now into southern portions of St. Francis County, southeastern portions of Washington County no longer under the tornado warning. But that's where you're looking at that circulation. It's going to pass darn close to Farmington here shortly. Jimmy?
Yeah, I was just talking about that severe thunderstorm warning. The one around, it's interesting, southeastern Monroe County and southeastern St. Clair County and also in Randolph County in Illinois has quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So not as strong as the supercells to the south, but you can see how much lightning is with this and these incredible rains that are coming through this area. So heads up, Waterloo, Sparta, Redbud, New Athens, Marissa. Again, not a tornado warning, but a severe thunderstorm warning, and the possibilities there for 60-mile-per-hour gusts and quarter-size hail. That storm that Scotty was looking at down south near Park Hills, and that rotation is a little further south from there. That's the one that we're really keeping our eyes on for any tornadic activity. I'll zoom in a little bit down here, and you can see a little bit of a hook right in this area. And that's why we're concerned. Again, no reports of any touchdowns, but we're watching that as it moves east of Bismarck and to the south of Park Hills. You're under that tornado warning for just a little while longer.
Well, and Jimmy, one thing we're looking at here that is a little bothersome, this is kind of just surged out here along Highway 32, 55. This is south of Bloomsdale. This is west of St. Genevieve. So we're in northern St. Genevieve County. This is kind of just surged out a little bit here. And I don't know if that's going to be able to create enough spin in the atmosphere to maybe spin something up. But if you're in the St. Genevieve area right now, or going out on 61 west of St. Genevieve, or even going 32 out of St. Genevieve, really that area in and around St. Genevieve right now, I would be concerned. I would go ahead and get in my safe place if you're in this area, just to be safe. I can't tell you that there's a tornado there, but I don't like how that just surged out like that.
The Doppler winds are really showing that couplet.
Yeah, so there's something there, and they also, the Doppler winds may be showing something that is a false return, but just based on the way that surged out like that, sometimes you get a scenario that plays out where you surge the winds out and it interacts with a storm, and when it comes surging out like that on the northern side of that surge, you can spin something up very quickly. So just to be safe here, if you're in and around the St. Genevieve area, especially Highway 61 going out of St. Genevieve here, let's just kind of go in a little bit closer to these areas and get some street names on here. If you're in this area, really downtown St. Genevieve's one, but going Market Street out, there's Highway 61, and then going over here towards Mosher, and then out along Creek Road, and then in the Industrial River Road, Ridgeway Street. You know, there's not a tornado warning there, but I don't like the way it surged out. So if I was looking at this at home and not here, being a meteorologist, I would be in my basement just to be safe, okay? Just to be safe. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in here for this area right now, and there is the potential these storms can spin up tornadoes. They can and sometimes do, and they sometimes do that with little or no warning. So again, that's the area approaching St. Genevieve right now. That storm will eventually move towards Ellis Grove. The problem is these southern storms are really messing with the inflow for the northern storms, and so it becomes more complicated to deal with how all the ingredients are coming together and interplaying with each storms, because the storms are interacting with each other. So that other cell that has the tornado warning on it, west of Farmington right now, we go into that area, and you can see that circulation showing up now east of Bismarck down towards Bloomsdale, and that's pushing towards, well, this just changed. You just changed radars. They just changed radars on me. But that circulation is going back here south of Park Hills and approaching Farmington. So there's Highway 221, which you take when you go down to, a lot of times you go down to Johnson Shut-ins that way. or you can. But there's that circulation there. That's approaching the Farmington area. There's no confirmed tornado with this, but there's definitely a circulation. This looks more like the supercell storms. We still have the larger hail in the Park Hills area, Leadington up towards Bonne Terre. And then we have the larger hail from Prairie du Rocher down to the west of St. Genevieve in this area. And then again, that little nub that just kind of spun out here, we'd be concerned around St. Genevieve for the potential for some stronger winds that may spin into something, Kay.
We're getting more reports of water on the road, Scott, and we want to pass this one along. The water situation seems to be shifting to Jefferson County right now. In DeSoto, Flucom and Rough Road apparently underwater, water over the road in that location. We know that Winsell Creek in Sullivan had very high water, rapidly flowing. That's what's happening in all of these creeks and rivers right now. Any road that abuts a river or a creek is going to be at risk of flooding at this point. The Merrimack River near Sullivan under a flood warning for the next several days. If you are in Jefferson County near DeSoto, where all of that rain has been falling, you're going to want to be careful if you go onto any roadway that traps water in a
Right.
rain situation.
So, Kay, we're going to jump back in here because we now have a tornado warning on this storm that we were just talking about, how it was surging here towards St. Genevieve. It does include St. Genevieve right now. So this is a tornado warning, and this is going to be for about the next 45 minutes or so. It includes St. Genevieve, and it stretches east here over into a good chunk of Randolph County. Chester, Illinois is included in this as it goes across into Randolph County, almost to the Randolph-Perry County line there. And you can see the spin. We were just talking about this spin in the atmosphere and how we did not like the look of this storm. So in and around St. Genevieve, in particular, you need to be in your safe place right now. You know, there's a lot of wineries in St. Genevieve, beautiful place, but this circulation is surging out. So this could very well be over St. Genevieve right now. At the very least, it is rotating over your head. It may not be touching the ground. It's radar indicated rotation, but it is something that we are concerned about. Right along Highway 61 on the west side or downtown St. Genevieve, and this is nudging out. So St. Jude Acres, it's probably nudging in just to your north, but that'll take it right over here to the Mississippi River. You're darn close to the Mississippi River, and this is going to be very close to crossing the Mississippi River in 5 to 7 minutes, and then it goes into portions of Randolph County here and slides over into central portions of Randolph County. New tornado warning. There's your circulation right on top of St. Genevieve. You need to be in your safe place. That's in a basement. If you don't have a basement available, then we're going to the lowest floor. We're going to put as many walls between us and the outside as possible. All right, so a bathroom, a closet. You're going to the lowest level, as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and we're staying away from windows and we're staying away from doors, right? Until this system goes through. That spin, radar indicated rotation, let's pop on the velocity here and we'll see what we get when we do that. And there you have it, right there, that circulation showing up around St. Genevieve. All right, and it seems to have tightened up a bit. Right on top of St. Genevieve, really, is where this is, or where it was just a couple of minutes ago.
Right.
Very strong circulation in here. So now, given the fact that the radar's a minute or two older, this is probably along the Mississippi River, crossing the Mississippi River and moving towards Sleeve Road, moving towards Lock and Dam Road. This is over into Randolph County in Illinois. There's Roots, there's Collins. This is probably going to track just to the south of Roots and Collins, but very close to Ellis Grove. And Jimmy, I'm going to pop back over here while we look at this. That thing, it really spun up very quickly.
And just seeing the gate-to-gate shear, you know, you get going away from the radar about 60 miles an hour, then on toward the radar more closer to 40. So that's about 95 to 100 mile per hour winds. Is it reaching the ground? We haven't had confirmation of that, but it is definitely spinning. And again, you need to be in your safe space. Let me go through this tornado warning again. So this is for, let's see here, moving east and northeast at about 25 miles an hour. And that is for the St. Genevieve area, and it's moving eastward into Monroe County eventually.
Yeah, so actually running into Randolph County here along Illinois Route 3, that's Ellis Grove. So it's about ready to cross over the Mississippi River right now, that circulation is. This nudged out ahead, started circulating and started spinning, and it did so just west of St. Genevieve. That circulation now passing over or just east of downtown St. Genevieve. No confirmation that it's on the ground. I just checked the last radar scan, and Jimmy, kind of looking up to see if there was any debris lofted. I don't see any showing up yet, but certainly the potential's there. So as this crosses the river, it's headed towards Ellis Grove. And this area along South Levee Road, Lock and Dam Road, Riley Lake Road, there's Riley Lake, there's Ellis Grove. Once you get to Highway 3, the area west of Highway 3 to the Mississippi River there in Randolph County, you need to be in your safe place right now. The storm that's circulating is very close to St. Genevieve. It is moving to the east. It looks like that circulation is north of New Bourbon, although there might be something that tries to spin up there before all's said and done. So that's one storm. That's the latest tornado warning. Then we go back to the west here. Just checking in on this storm. It's not looking like the spin is as impressive as it was just a few minutes ago. But here's Farmington right now. Here's 221. Dairy Queen's right there. And I think at this point, your rotation's kind of broader here. Let's add the velocity in here so we can look at the winds. So there's something definitely showing up here as this is coming along 221, approaching Highway 67, coming into Farmington. That's pretty close to Farmington High School on the track of this. Again, that's rotation within the clouds. Whether it's reaching the ground, that remains to be seen. But it's a situation where, just as a precaution, you need to be in your safe place right now. All of these storms are tracking mainly off to the east, maybe slightly north of east. That tornado warning, again, includes Farmington. This tornado warning includes Steelville, or St. Genevieve, then it includes Steelville, Illinois. It also includes Ellis Grove. And if you're in the Ellis Grove area and down to that Riley Lake area west of Highway 3 to the river here in Randolph County, you need to be in your safe place in these areas as that circulation is still showing up there. Let's just put on the debris tracker here and see if we see anything that stands out. Now, I'm going to back it up a couple of scans. I don't see anything just looking at this.
Haven't seen that blue that you usually see.
Yeah, usually you see some blue. There is a little bit of a drop out there, but I can't confirm that that would be it. It's not exactly in the exact right spot, so I don't know that that would be it. But Kay, you mentioned something earlier about the hailstones and the turbulence. When we look at the turbulence inside these storms, I mean, that's an amazing amount of turbulence in this storm as it's gone through St. Genevieve and is now right across the river and working its way into Randolph County, Illinois. More it's just tons of turbulence in here. These storms are very, very loaded with wind going up and down in the storms. That's one of the reasons why we're seeing these large hailstones, these giant-sized hailstones. Baseballs, perhaps, and a little larger in some cases. So it's a big deal. Let me pop on a different velocity product here, just looking at the storm relative velocity. It looks like as we go down into this area here, again, that circulation is probably just sliding over the Mississippi River, possible tornado here, around just southeast of St. Genevieve, heading over towards Ellis Grove. We go back a little bit, back towards the Farmington area. And I think we were looking at this particular spot back here, but that doesn't look like it's overly favorable circulation, or has it moved into Farmington? You know, we may have it kind of reforming, and you may have something now on the north side of Farmington. It's a bit of rotation there, not necessarily a tornado, but a bit of rotation. The other thing we've been looking at with these storms has been the hail. And that has been, in some cases, pretty incredible. The good news is the northern storm, we've lost a lot of the big hail with that. We still have a lot of the big hail here with this storm that's around St. Genevieve, and you still have some pretty good-sized hail down towards Park Hills. Traditionally, the hail is usually larger on the north side of these storms based on what we have been seeing so far today. So we're trying to use all of our tools to keep you updated here on what's going on and how these storms are evolving this afternoon. Again, around the metro area, there's nothing concerning us for St. Louis right now. This is all to our south. But these are intense and severe thunderstorms. They have a history of producing very large hail. And this storm in particular, as it kind of hooks here down around St. Genevieve and just to the west of Ellis Grove, that really does have us concerned.
Yeah, the Weather Service confirms strong rotation in that area around St. Genevieve, just to the east and southeast.
Yeah, and I'd like to see one more scan on this from the Weather Service. When I'm looking at the radar, obviously they have more options to look at the radar. They're looking at more levels than I have time to look at right now. But that rotation really does look impressive down there for sure. And I wonder if I'm going to pop off. Let's do this. We're going to pull this out a little bit, and I'm going to go to where we're on the Paducah radar.
And again, I'll just go through this tornado warning.
Yeah, I'm going to get another little scan here. So if we look from Paducah, okay, and I have to keep it broad so I can get Paducah's radar site, but this is looking at it from a different vantage point. That circulation is showing up here just east and southeast of St. Genevieve. It's still a pretty tight circulation that's showing up from the St. Louis radar as well. So again, tornado warning here, especially east of St. Genevieve and into Randolph County. That includes Ellis Grove. It includes the Chester area, although I think the circulation is going to be closer to Ellis Grove. If you're in Ellis Grove, Riley Lake, you need to be in your safe place. There's Old Kaskaskia in there too. Again, what we're seeing here is a very intense storm and some pretty tight circulation sliding east. So be in your safe place along and west of Route 3 to the Mississippi River for sure. And then east of Route 3, you got a minute or two before it gets over towards Steelville and Wine Hill and perhaps some of these other locations like New Palestine and Welch in that area. But you guys down in Monroe County, or in Randolph County, you need to be in your safe place right now. Also that area down around Farmington, although it seems to have lost some of its circulation just a bit, but it's pretty close to Farmington right now, at least what I'm seeing on the radar. Whether that's actually real or an artifact from radar, because we sometimes get that, remains to be seen, but there are a couple of nubbies in here that would indicate potential circulation, one now going to the north and northeast. Have we had any power outages down that way, Jimmy? Do you know?
I was just checking that. It's let me refresh, and then we have about 1,017 now in the Jefferson County area, so a little bit more there. And into Illinois, not as much, but I'm sure that will change as those storms continue moving into Randolph County.
Yeah. And again, we've got the potential here. These circulations spinning up, that's the debris detection, which isn't showing me all that much right now and isn't showing you much, just, that we're getting mostly raindrops. There's some spots that are indicating there's some different things. So here we're starting to pick up some of that big hail again, going south of Evansville. This is in Illinois, south of Evansville, down to just north of St. Genevieve into Randolph County. So we're Randolph County. That's where we're seeing some of that largest hail. And then the hail that's down here into St. Francis and St. Genevieve County back to the southwest of that storm isn't as large. It's still potentially large hail, but it's not as large. So those are our two tornado warnings. St. Francis, St. Genevieve County on the western side for that storm that's around Farmington. And then for the storm that's around St. Genevieve into Randolph County, especially the southern half of Randolph County, that tornado warning in effect. That mainly is south of Sparta, but does include Chester and Ellis Grove. You should be in your safe place right this very moment and stay there for a little bit until this wave of storms rolls through. Flash flood warnings. Yeah, the rain has stopped here, Jefferson County, west of 55, all the way back into most of Franklin County, but we're still having drainage issues there. Broader perspective, yes, there are thunderstorms perking up here around the metro area to our north, off to the north and northeast. None of those are severe. It's right now Randolph County into St. Genevieve County and St. Francis County, south of St. Louis, that we have the problems. That's Cotter Creek right there, and between Hillsborough and DeSoto, and you can see how high it runs. As is the case with all the small creeks and streams, you get a couple of 3 inches of rain, and you get it in a short amount of time, which we've seen the heavy rain in a very quick pace this afternoon, and then you take that and put it on top of a ground that's already sopping wet. All that water has no place to go. It simply runs off, runs straight into the creeks and streams. They jump, and then they flow into the smaller rivers, and those smaller rivers will take big jumps as well. We're not done. This is just the first round of the storms we're dealing with for today. We have more to come later on this afternoon. Focusing in on this one storm here where the hook seems to be off to the southeast or east of St. Genevieve right now. The largest hail is just south of Evansville, and as we kind of zoom in for you, routes up to Evansville is where your largest hail is. That rotation's likely in this area somewhere between Ellis Grove and Riley Lake. And you know, Jimmy, this is one of those scenarios where these storms, they have rotation, and then you have to wait and see if that rotation ever has a chance to reach the ground. Right. And so far, we haven't had any reports of that actually happening. However, emergency management in St. Francis County, high wind damage on Highway P and Barbary Road with trees down. So we'll get some more information on that here in the next few minutes once that flows our way. But at least we know this storm in St. Francis County has produced some wind damage.
And it looks like that the tornado warning for Farmington looks like it's just to the east of Farmington now. But Parkland Health Center in Farmington and Bonne Terre sheltering since about 1:50. But the good news is it doesn't look like that one they're going to extend further eastward. But the one around, you know, the places like Riley Lake and Old Kaskaskia, that has still a really distinct couplet of a possible tornado as it moves closer to 3 there in Randolph County.
Yeah, this is that circulation we're watching here. This is large hail on the north side of the storm. The circulation's probably wrapping up in this area very close to Ellis Grove. And remember, the radar, even though it's definitely seeing the rain and the hail and it sees all of this, sometimes it's a little displaced from where it's actually falling, just because of the nature of the way this all wraps around. But from Ellis Grove down to Riley Lake, we need you to be in your safe place. And then really in this area here too, from Old Kaskaskia going up, that's Riley Lake Road, and that's Kaskaskia Road. Here's New Palestine, and then you have Route 3. So this is the area probably around or just south of Ellis Grove right now where we have the most intense rotation showing up. This is showing up in the clouds. It's the lowest level of the radar screen. It's telling us, yes, something is spinning here, and it's a fairly tight rotation. So it's enough where you should be in your safe place at this point as this tracks on to the east. I want to give you just a quick little, see if we can't do kind of a timeline and track it just a little bit, Jimmy. 30 miles per hour, I believe, is what we're moving on.
Yes.
So it's already in, technically it's already in Ellis Grove, but there's Ellis Grove. You know, it's going all the way over to Steelville, Welch, Willisville. It's going to move pretty quickly in this direction over the course of the next hour or so. All right.
Looks like they trimmed the warning a little bit.
Yeah, they've taken it out of the storm. The storm itself is out of or at least the tornadic, any rotating part of the storm is out of St. Genevieve County. So now your tornado warning here just in Randolph County. So that tornado warning, again, the circulation here is very close to Ellis Grove at this point, and it is moving towards the east. Areas that you have to be concerned with. A tremendous amount of heavy rain here, the rest of St. Genevieve County. And you are still under a severe thunderstorm warning, as we may still be looking at some penny to quarter-size hail with this. That little sliver of a tornado warning for that little portion of the storm that kind of has a little nubby to it that went east of Farmington, that's now pushing into St. Genevieve County, western St. Genevieve County, down along Highway 32. But it doesn't have quite the rotation, certainly not as impressive as this that's over near Ellis Grove, or as it was. Now, as this kind of evolves, we may see, it's very possible we'll see this kind of merge into and become one big glob, and we'll lose the rotation. We can hope that that happens and does so very quickly. But you're still looking north and northwest of Ellis Grove at hail, perhaps up to the size of baseballs, certainly hen egg size in those areas. So hail's a big threat. Torrential rain, flash flooding, those are big threats. And then the threat of a tornado in that area around Ellis Grove right now. And just to recap, for those of you who may be joining us a little after 2 o'clock this afternoon, saying, well, I haven't been around all afternoon long, what's been going on? Well, we've been tracking one big storm that was out to our west, rolled across our southern counties. A lot of tremendous rain, huge hail. We've also had some winds with it. That part weakened, but now the storms on the south side have intensified. And at the moment, we have one tornado warning, and I'll go to Kay next. But this one tornado warning for this rotation of this thunderstorm that is here in Randolph County. Right now, that circulation looks to be just south of Ellis Grove, and it is moving towards the Steelville area in Illinois, moving towards Steelville, Illinois. And that takes it, right here, Walsh Road, Chester Road, Shawneetown Trail. That's where you need to be in your safe place here for that potential circulation. Tornado warning, Randolph County right now, okay?
Scott, we're adding another school to the list of those canceling after-school activities. We're sort of in that hour now where school will be dismissed. And Lindbergh is now on the list, as well as Fox C6, Ladue, Festus R6, Rockwood, Wentzville, and Parkway, all canceling after-school activities. Your child will not be released from school if there is a severe weather situation unfolding at that time. So just keep that in mind, but otherwise, schools should be releasing students as scheduled. There will be no after-school activities. Jim?
All right, Kay, yeah, we just want to reiterate, because again, getting on under the Doppler winds here, this tornado warning that's in effect for Randolph County, Illinois. So it's Chester. You need to be in your safe space here. New Palestine. So this entire area right there. So and you can see it, that where red and green meet, that's where the wind is going either toward the radar, the green, or away from the radar, red. And it's moving to the east at about 30 miles an hour. So this is where we have the tightest rotation. So far, no confirmation that we have the tornado on the ground, but again, a tornado warning in effect for Randolph, central Randolph County and Illinois until 2:45. And of course, you definitely want to be in your safe space, get into the basement, away from windows. If you don't have a basement, get to the center of your home and away from windows. We'll continue to watch that. Now, so you can see that tornado warning. There's only one right now, but it's east of St. Genevieve. So St. Genevieve, you're out of the threat of this, but you go into Randolph County, and again, anywhere in between Chester and New Palestine, and right along the Palestine Road there is where this circulation is going to go over, and eventually moves eastward toward 150 and also Chester Road. So again, tornado warning till 2:45 for central portions of Randolph County and Illinois. Still some strong storms back to the west, severe thunderstorm warning. Another one in effect for right along 55 there to the west of St. Genevieve down into Farmington. That tornado warning around Farmington, that was allowed to expire. which is some fantastic news there. And we're getting some shower and thunderstorm activity even around the metro at this point, but that's been sub-severe. Still a lot of lightning with that and heavy rain and downpours. We're not seeing the amount of rain, though, in this area like we're seeing down to the south. And that's where we've had most of that severe instability really, as these storms popped up in central portions of Missouri, it followed that instability very easily and then pushed right into our southern counties. So again, you see all the lightning on here, the yellow, that's where you're having the most intense thunderstorm activity. And we've had 3 different supercells in the area, all of them producing at least some spin and that chance of seeing some tornadoes, but we have had no confirmation of any touchdowns, but still watching that circulation very carefully. Central Randolph County, you can see that lightning there. So not only the hail, the high wind, the lightning, again, Central Randolph County in Illinois, you have that potential of a tornado, but no confirmation yet of that touchdown. And I think Scotty's got a little bit more information too.
Yeah, you know, we're still, it's just one cell here that's over Ellis Grove right now, and to the southeast of Ellis Grove, the potential there of that rotation. That's why that tornado warning remains in effect for this area. Also, some really large hail along Highway 3 going north out of Ellis Grove. That's going to push south of Sparta and probably close to or just north of Steelville here as we head through about the next 15 to 20 minutes. We've had many reports of large hail and damaging winds here well, at least large hail. We haven't had as many reports of damaging winds, although Barbary Road and Highway P, St. Francis County Emergency Management was reporting some trees down there. Just kind of looking at the southern end of this storm, just a severe thunderstorm for the rest of St. Genevieve County now as we track this next system that did have some spin with it, but seems like we've lost that potential, at least imminent potential of any tornado there. And the storms that are south of Farmington now heading down towards Ironton, they don't seem to be severe at the moment. They're strong, but they don't seem to be severe at the moment. Where our biggest problem is again, right here with this cell over Randolph County. And here's the deal with this one. As the storms to the south of it start to interfere with the inflow for this, and you see new development here as you head down towards Carbondale and then back up towards Chester, some of that is interfering with this storm's capability to maintain its strength and its rotation. But we're still getting hail out of this thing, and we're still probably getting larger than golf balls out of this as we go into central portions of Randolph County. So from Walsh south along Walsh Road here, that's where the largest hail is falling. Again, we're in very rural farming communities here. There's Harris Road, there's the 9 Mile Road. So that's where you're getting probably some of the larger hail. And we have seen hail as large as baseballs earlier today. But right now, that's where the largest hail is. That spin that's in there is kind of located, you know, right, you can still make it out, but it's located near and just southeast of Ellis Grove and very near that New Palestine area. If we pop on the velocity, and again, we're up fairly high here on the scans, but that's where it's showing up as there being some spin, as best we can tell. So this is the area here, particularly in the southern portions of Randolph County, where we're concerned that there may be a tornado or potentially one that forms. Radar's indicating tight rotation. During the course of the last couple of hours on many of these storms, we've had several spotters say we can see the clouds rotating, there's clear rotation. No reports of the storms actually touching down. Now, in addition to the really large hail and that tornado threat and some strong winds, we've also got the flash flood warnings that are in effect now. And that stretches back northern portions of Crawford County, northern Washington County, into Jefferson County, Franklin County, and Gascony County. This area pounded with that heavy rain and hail earlier that caused rapid rises on all of the creeks and streams, and that also caused some flash flooding, and so that water still has to drain. And we also have hilly terrain here and low water crossings, so there's the potential you have water running across those low water crossings. You don't want to drive into that. In fact, if water is covering the road anywhere, you don't want to drive into it. Just kind of switch out to the radar and we'll get you back to the regular radar view. Look at the severe thunderstorms developing here in western portions of Missouri. So what we're dealing with now, round one. This will be round two. How much this impacts the metro area, that remains to be seen. What we're seeing around the metro area right now has been just some rumbles of thunder and maybe some downpours, but nothing severe in the immediate metro area. It's all been well to the south of St. Louis, and the one tornado warning in southern portions of Randolph County right now, okay?
Scott, we have Tracy in the storm tracker. We have reporters and photographers all across this area where the weather threat is now. We have video to show you from North Main and Fountain City Road. This is in DeSoto. This is just an example of how much rain has fallen in our area just in the past couple of hours. Here's water coming up through a manhole cover in the road. This is a serious situation. This is where you want to turn around, don't drown, for sure. In fact, you want to stay off any low-lying road at this point. We know there have been high water situations all over the area. This is Cotter Creek at 21, which we showed you earlier with the debris. Things are being swept away in all of this flooding and rain. We know the Merrimack River is very high, a flood warning there for the next several days. Winslow Creek in Sullivan, very high, rapidly moving water. And we can update you on the 5 in Sullivan, north 185. Here's the video from that location where there was a water rescue about 2 hours ago. Everyone's safe. This area has now reopened both north and southbound, but you can see how high the water is there as well. This is a dangerous situation with the heavy rainfall we've had in just a short amount of time. So you want to be extremely careful if you're out driving. If you live near an area prone to flooding, you want to be aware of all of your surroundings at this point. Scott?
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the case not only now, but we have another round coming up a little bit later on today and into this evening with more severe weather expected across the region, and that's going to cause us problems as well, especially along and south of Interstate 70 as we head into this afternoon. For right now, the areas under greatest concern where we have the tornado warning, and it's this one cell that's working its way. This is the last hour across out of St. Genevieve County, across the Mississippi, and into central and southern portions of Randolph County right now. This storm has a history of producing very large hail, golf balls to baseball size hail, which will do a lot of roof damage, a lot of damage to cars. And if it falls when there's 40, 50, or 60 mile an hour winds, which in some cases may be the case, then you also have a lot of wind-blown hail damage to go along with that, plus the threat of a tornado. It's still there, although it doesn't look like it's as tight of a circulation as it was, but there's still some semblance of that circulation approaching Illinois 150 right now. And this is just to the southwest of Steelville, just off to the west and northwest of Wine Hill, and just north of Chester, up along 150. So this area here is the area where there's still potentially some rotation in there, and perhaps there could be a tornado. Radar is still indicating that spin. That's along Chester Road, and then you have Wine Hill Road out of Welgie and up to Steelville. So these are areas where you would want to be in that place that you know is protected from the elements and away from the windows and the doors as we go through the afternoon, perhaps in the basement. You know, it's one of those scenarios where not everybody has a basement, but if you do have a basement, that's your safest bet when there are tornadoes. We have not been able to confirm a tornado with this, and we've been trying on the radar to also look at that, what we call the debris detector. And this is our version of the radar that kind of looks up into the clouds and is looking for things that don't look the same. And usually when you have a bunch of stuff that's been lofted by a tornado, you go down into the blues. because the radar knows it's not all raindrops, it's not all hailstones, it's a bunch of other stuff that's different shapes and different sizes, and we can confirm tornadoes that way. What we have not seen, and we just kind of back it up here over the last hour, we really haven't seen anything that stood out to us that was co-located with where that spinning was and where that rotation in the storm was that would make us think that we had anything lofted into the sky. So that's a good thing at this point. We do know there has been some wind damage in southern portions of Washington County, I believe, and perhaps into St. Francis County with some trees or tree branches down. And again, a 50-mile-per-hour wind with the ground as soggy as it is right now can do more damage than, can knock over a tree easier than it would when the ground is dry and the roots are able to hold strong. But still severe thunderstorm warning here for St. Genevieve back into St. Francis County as we watch these storms continue to track on towards the east. The only and northern portions of Perry County in Missouri have been added. So north of Perryville has been added into that severe thunderstorm warning too. That comes out of the Paducah National Weather Service office. Again, a bit of a spin here. You can kind of see just a little bit of a hook on this storm that is in Randolph County right now. That's been the storm of interest for about the last hour or so. Still some large hail south of Sparta, heading down towards Ellis Grove, and in that area, approaching Chester Road here in the next little bit. So that's the area that you're likely to see some of the largest hail. Now there's a lot of farm fields here. I don't know if the farmers have had a chance to plant anything, to be honest with you, because it has been so wet lately. And with more rain coming tonight with the next round, it's doubtful that it'll take another week or so for the ground to dry out where farmers can even work it. Here's our last flash flood warning in Jefferson County back into eastern portions of Franklin County and northern portions of Washington County, still doing a lot of drainage of all that heavy rainfall. Okay?
Scott, hail has been such a hallmark of this storm. Take a look at this. Wait until you see the hail is falling in a pool, and it looks like someone is actually shaking the pool, or you can see the splashes. It's really amazing. The size of the hail has ranged from ping pong ball, golf ball sized hail. We've had reports of baseball sized hail. In fact, just in the past couple of minutes, golf ball sized hail reported northeast of Chester, Illinois. This is in Festus, though. This was earlier today, and just remarkable what it's doing to the surface of the pool there. We also have hail falling in Sullivan, Missouri. This was earlier today, before maybe right around the lunch hour, right around noon. And this area also took on so much rain in just a short amount of time. You can see the rain ponding there in this yard. This is a serious situation in Sullivan. Winslow Creek is now flooded and over its banks. We know that I-44 at mile marker 230 earlier, we had water on the road. We've heard of water at Flukem and Rough Road. That's been a problem, and these reports are coming in from all over. This is a widespread flooding situation if you are south of the city of St. Louis in the counties that have been affected by these storms. So you really want to be aware of your surroundings and do not drive onto a flooded road.
Yeah, you just don't know if the road is even there as you drive into that water that's covering the road. If it's over one of those smaller creeks that just, has a big round, metal or plastic pipe underneath it, those things are easily washed out when you get really intense rain like we had today. One tornado warning is continuing here, and that is in Randolph County, set to expire here in just a little bit. We have severe thunderstorm warnings, northern portions of Perry County in Missouri, as well as a good chunk of St. Genevieve and St. Francis County. Jimmy was just pointing out this part of the cell here down not too far from Farmington. That kind of was starting to take on that hook echo look and kind of getting that bit of a hook, which of course always concerns us. But the atmosphere here may not be as conducive to spinning something up. And the one thing that we've really noticed is, even though we've had some really tight rotation here over the course of the last hour or two out of some of these storms. We haven't had anything actually that we've been able to confirm reaching the ground. I mean, there's still rotation. There's a lot of rotation around these storms in general, but there's still a couple of spots. The one that prompted the tornado warning that's still in effect over there in Randolph County, and then this other spot that Jimmy was talking about here that's southeast of Farmington. We'll kind of look at that just a little bit in more depth here and a little more detail, just to kind of pinpoint more of where that is. But at this point, we're basically not going to have a tornado warning yet because the circulation isn't tight enough. But nonetheless, there is rotation in here. There's Libertyville, that's Kaufman Road, all right, Highway 00. So Kaufman Road, and you're going towards the St. Genevieve County line here. This is east of 67, this is northeast of SBRF Scout Ranch. So it's in this very remote area, but that's where there would be some rotation, certainly, within the storm. Now, is it enough to cause a problem and reach the ground? Probably not at this point, but there's still hail up to the size of quarters and golf balls in these storms easily. And then you've got the larger hail over here, which is probably golf ball or larger size hail that's over right now into Randolph County in Illinois. So these are the storms, all south and southeast of St. Louis, that are happening right now. These are the ones that have prompted the warnings this afternoon, all of the severe warnings that have been in effect. As we look around the rest of the metro area, there are more showers and thunderstorms. We've had rumbles of thunder in St. Louis. We've had downpours in St. Louis. The reason you haven't heard us say much about St. Louis is because St. Louis was not a concern. The immediate metro area has not had any real weather-related problems. It rained. That happens in the spring. But as you go farther south, these storms have been much more problematic and have had much more of a potential and much more of an impact as far as severe weather goes. Now, there are more thunderstorms developing to the north of us right now, and the overall pattern is favorable for more thunderstorms to develop going into this evening. We're already starting to see these storms building out here into western portions of Missouri. Springfield's already starting to pop severe thunderstorm warnings. You've got one approaching Joplin. You've got another one that's approaching the Lake of the Ozarks area. There's even another cell that's there close to Rolla right now starting to develop. This is in the air that's south of St. Louis. This air down to our south is very unstable and very warm, and that's trying to lift back to the north ahead of a cold front, and that's going to try to fuel our thunderstorms as we head into later today and into the evening hours. So this is just the first round of what's to come in St. Louis. We have another round to get through later this afternoon and into this evening. So that tornado warning keeps shriveling down here off to the southeast of St. Louis, still in effect over into Randolph County for just a little bit longer. Severe thunderstorm warnings continue for St. Francis County and St. Genevieve County as well. And again, the main threats down here seem to be from the potential of a few 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and hail that may be up to the size of quarters. And then you get into that one cell that prompted the tornado warning here as you go over into portions of Randolph County. And this cell has the potential to produce some of that larger hail, golf balls and larger. And also that's the one that prompted the tornado warning because of the spin in the atmosphere. That spin seems to be absorbed into the storm right now. What's left of it's kind of trying to rotate between Wine Hill and closer to Steelville. But at this point, we're not seeing the extensive, tight rotation like we were seeing earlier around St. Genevieve when that surge really started to spin up and twist up. And then we saw that thing really get going. But at this point, we're beginning our descent, if you will, with this round of thunderstorms. We're going to kind of ease these out of here in the next hour or so, and we may get an hour or two of a break before we start to flare the next round of stuff up. And I know, Jim, we've got the tornado watch, and you've got updates on where that's in effect right now and what else is going on.
Yeah, you know, the tornado watch is in effect again for southern counties. A couple counties were added, St. Clair County, Illinois, and also Washington County. They're in the more unstable air for these supercells. So that's till 5 o'clock. Then we have a flood watch in effect for the potential of flash flooding. We've seen flash flooding where these supercells have gone through and the creeks and rivers and streams continue high, but actually St. Louis City and County has been added to that flood watch for the potential of flash flooding. Another thing that's interesting, even though that tornado warning continues in Randolph County, Illinois, the amount of power outages only 14. So not really seeing some high wind or damage, or at least power being knocked out from that really strong storm moving through there. But lightning, very heavy rain, and extremely large hail has been an issue there. And like Scotty said, if you look back at just some of these storms that are moving and developing to the west in Missouri, this is that next batch. We'll probably, like he said, we'll get a break here, maybe finally be able to get off the air with that last tornado warning expiring at about 2:45. And then these other cells developing. So it's Interstate 70 southward that we're going to look for probably some more rounds of severe weather. And it does look like each one of these is trying to hook also. So some supercells with that potential of rotation and moving into our area after we get a little bit of a break, Scotty.
Yeah, and I think our break is going to be the emphasis, a little bit of a break here. So the tornado warning still continuing for a few more minutes here as this storm tries to spin. Really the bigger threat looks to be the hail. We just did get a report out of Maystown up in Monroe County that there are roads there that are flooded that normally don't flood. And you know, we always have that you have scenarios that play out with roads that usually do, and then there are the exceptions.
Right. Jefferson County Sheriff's Office has given us a long list of Jefferson County Sheriff's Office has given us a long list of flooded roads. Old 21 at Jarvis, Upper Platten Road at 110, Herky Horine Road and Horine Road, Wegman Road and Lee Pyle Road, Highway Y near Highway C, Butcher Branch near Highway C. These are just a few of the flooded roads. That's the point we're trying to make. We are listing them for you, but the list is actually much longer than that. We have just not gotten those details yet. We also have reports of several downed trees and debris in Jefferson County. And this is sort of an all-over thing. Jefferson County authorities telling us that the area of Hematite and Olympic Village, many flooded homes there, wires down at 11470 State Road at Grandview Elementary School. So just now widespread reports of flooded roads, damaged, and trees down all over the Jefferson County area, Scott.
Yeah, and I wonder, there's Tracy Hinson in the storm tracker, and she's in Redbud, Illinois. And you can see it's going through Redbud right now pretty clearly. Tracy, are you able to talk to us? Oh, okay. No, it's not Tracy.
I think that's Bryce Moore in Sparta.
Okay, it's in Sparta. Okay, so he's in Sparta. Well, and there you go. It's pouring in Sparta. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some hail that comes in the next couple of minutes there. And you can see it is wind-whipped rain, too. Although the winds don't look severe from that picture, it's kind of hard to tell, but we're kind of looking at that flag that's off in the distance, and it does look like it's pretty extended. But that's your line of thunderstorms here. And Sparta is not technically under a warning now. South of Sparta is, and as you go south of Sparta, that's where you do pick up that larger hail. Although we've seen that size of hail coming down over the last couple of hours. The tornado warning's expected to expire here in about 3 more minutes. These storms may still produce some large hail as they approach the Percy area and approach the Perry County, Illinois line. So Randolph, Perry County, Illinois, right here, that's your county line. There's still the potential for some large hail. The storms down here over St. Genevieve and St. Francis County, they're still quite strong, and they're still producing some hail, maybe up to the size of pennies. but we're not looking at as bad, or, it could be worse, I suppose. Look at the turbulence on this, and we'll see if we can pop that on there. There's still a tremendous amount of turbulence all along, and this is just kind of an indication of how unsettled things are. There's a lot of movement in that air, especially at the leading edge of these thunderstorms. We look at the hail and try to pinpoint the hail sizes for you. And again, it's not overly impressive out of most of the storms, the exception being this storm that had the tornado warning on it. That's still likely producing some large hail. So even though that tornado warning is set to expire here in about the next minute, I would suspect we're going to get a new severe thunderstorm warning that will cover at least parts of Randolph County until we can kick that storm out of the county. Otherwise, the hail that's back over St. Genevieve and St. Francis counties, from Farmington up into central portions of St. Genevieve County south of Bloomsdale, that's not as large as what we were looking at for areas farther north with that storm. So I guess that's some good news at this point. The bottom line is, and there you go, they just did that. Severe thunderstorm warning here for the eastern portions of Randolph County to account for that larger hail and the potential for the stronger winds as this storm moves east, and then that tornado warning will expire here in a few minutes. Now, Kay, I know you've been talking with and hearing from a lot of the school districts around the area what their plans are. This is the first round. There's another round of severe thunderstorms that will be coming later today. And Kay, I know you were saying a lot of the school districts aren't going to do after-school activities.
Right. We've had at least 7 districts cancel after-school activities: Lindbergh, Fox C6, Ladue, Festus, Rockwood, Wentzville, Parkway. Not confirmed, but I have also had viewer reports that some of the districts in the Metro East were canceling after-school activities. We are working on that for you right now. We also have a National Weather Service report of marble to golf ball-sized hail in the Piney Park area of Franklin County, and drifts of small hail with piles 10 to 12 inches deep. Stripped vegetation in this area, Piney Park in Franklin County, all due to the severity of the hail that's fallen there. We talked about all the flooding. We listed the flooded roads for you earlier, but the damage from the hail alone, pretty astounding, really.
And I was talking earlier this week, Kay, with a roofer out in St. Charles County, and he's really busy because of the hail we had last month trying to get roofs on, and there's going to be a whole lot of new roofs that are needed down here. And now that everything has leafed out and you have things growing, when you do get this larger hail, especially once it gets above the size of a quarter, it does tend to strip a lot of the leaves off the trees. And I mean, we've had up to baseball-sized hail today, and we've had a lot of pictures of that. And because of that, you've lost a lot of that vegetation on the trees. And so it's been a mess. The strongest storms continue to be these to the south of St. Louis right now. What we have around the metro area and to the north, they're fast-moving showers and thunderstorms. They have some lightning, but there's no severe weather out of anything away from this one complex that's close to us right now. We're still draining the water. Kay just went over that list as you go into Jefferson County. That list of roads that are closed because of the flooding, the flash flood warning still continues there. Eastern portions of Franklin County, northwestern portions of Washington County, northern portions of Washington County, that's where we have the greatest amount of flooding still ongoing. We've started to see some drainage ease a little bit for the time being out into parts of Gasconade and western and central portions of Franklin County. But they were hit initially with some of the largest hail and some of the heaviest rain early on. Now that is all down here to the south, taking advantage of that very warm, humid air that's just to our south that wants to kick off more thunderstorms. We think over the course of the next 3 hours, after this slides out, that more muggy air is going to try to work back towards I-70, and then the storms that are developing to our west will then come our way as we push towards the hours of 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock tonight. They have the potential of additional strong to severe thunderstorms across the area, including a tornado threat, because there will actually be a cold front that will be sliding through during that time. And just want to let the control room know, I know we normally have an update coming up here in a little bit anyway. We're just, even though the tornado warnings have expired, we're just going to go until 3 o'clock, and then at 3 o'clock we'll go back to our regular programming because it just makes more sense. We're already here, and if anything else pops up, you know, we're going to just stick with you. But we're watching these storms get out of here, and then we're going to turn our attention to what's developing back towards Lake of the Ozarks and what's developing in western portions of the Missouri. For the next 2 or 3 hours, or at least the next hour and a half, the metro area is not likely to see any strong to severe thunderstorms. We will see some scattered showers and thunderstorms. The question as to how that impacts what comes at us from the west, that remains to be seen. But that's going to be the next round, which unfortunately is likely to be pushing our way right towards the evening rush hour, Kay.
And Scott, let's review those road problems in Jefferson County. These roads are closed at this point. Old 21 at Jarvis, Upper Platten Road at 110, Herky-Horine Road at Horine Road, Wegman Road and Lee Pile Road, Highway Y near Highway C, and Butcher Branch near Highway C. The list could be longer. We are gathering that information as we speak. Also reports of several downed trees, debris, and flooding near Hematite and Olympian Village. We don't have any reports of anyone trapped or injured, but Jefferson County has crews out assessing damage in many communities right now. A water rescue was underway earlier in the 2600 block of Parthenon in Olympian Village. That seems to be a very hard-hit community at this point. And then we had a report of wires down at 11470 State Road. That's near Grandview Elementary School. Just a lot of flash flooding in Jefferson County. And this is Bader Road in DeSoto. You can see emergency crews out there. You can see the debris on the road. This is an example of what we're talking about. You can definitely tell water has been over the road here and washed all that debris up onto the road. And here we are following a fire truck as it looks for people who maybe have been stranded or who got caught in that high rushing water. So again, you want to stay home if you can. You want to stay off any roads that flood in a storm situation. But we're also being told many roads are flooding that don't usually take on water in a storm. I mean, that's how much water has fallen in such a short time. The small box you can see on the right side of your screen, that is Sparta, Illinois. Our Bryce Moore has been out driving and checking on the situation in that community as these storms move east and continue to bring all this heavy rain and hail as they march across the bi-state.
They are marching across the bi-state, and this is just the first round that we're dealing with, Kay. So we broadened out the perspective here a little bit for you, and we'll look out here into western portions of Missouri. These are the next rounds of thunderstorms that are developing, and yes, there's severe thunderstorm warnings all along this. What's happening is the atmosphere is really unstable here down to the south of St. Louis, and that's going to try to nudge back in behind this wave of storms ahead of an approaching cold front. And as that cold front's already approaching here into western Missouri, it already had the warm, humid conditions to work with, so we're already flaring things up in the St. Louis area. So when we go back into our area, again, there are scattered showers and thunderstorms in the metro. None of this is severe. I think we're going to get a break, but you'll see some downpours and maybe even some pea-sized hail with some of this that's coming in out towards New Haven and pushing out towards Wentzville. But it's what's down to the south that has been the biggest problem. But no tornado warnings at this point. All severe thunderstorm warnings, and the main threat seems to be from those gusty winds about 50 to maybe 60 miles per hour, and especially with this area that's approaching Percy and about ready to push into Perry County, Illinois. That's where some of the larger hail has been seen with this as well. And then you've got the torrential rain down towards Kaskaskia Island and heading all the way down into southern portions of St. Genevieve County and now south and southeast of Farmington for some of the heaviest rain there. There may be some hail in here, but you're not looking at what we were looking at earlier with, baseball size hail at least. The worst with this is probably the golf ball size hail that's just about to push across out of areas of Randolph County and into Perry County, Illinois. So that's the worst of it that is on the maps right now, and it's winding down and moving away from St. Louis. And now we'll have to watch for those thunderstorms out to the west as they start trudging our way here, going towards the evening rush hour. The severe weather threat is definitely there. Jimmy, if you want to update it, the Storm Prediction Center hasn't really changed anything as of this point, have they?
Right, just a little bit. So if you look at all these colors on here, so the red would be, like Scotty said, the most unstable air. And that's where we're expecting more probably tornado warnings and definitely large hail and high wind. But look at everybody is in some kind of a color. So we've got bowling green and green, and then you have yellow that now has been moved down to the St. Louis area, and then orange further south. So it simply means all of us have a chance of severe weather. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on to the west of us. I put on the lightning here. If you take that off so it's not as bright, you can see these new cells out here and that new tornado warning right there. Through southwestern, just south of Joplin, actually, and Neosho in Missouri. So this is the kind of stuff that's heading to the east, and we'll see more of this moving in our way. We're going to get a break here. We're going to go off the air here in just a couple of seconds, and we'll be able to update you, of course, if anything does happen again and any more tornado warnings are in effect. Power outages, very limited on the Illinois side. Missouri side, we're still seeing power outages, about over 1,000 in Jefferson County and also Crawford County. But really, with all these intense storms around the area, Scotty, limited power outages out there, but we've had the flash flooding and that very large hail.
Well, and we know we had the strong winds because we saw the large hail, and it takes really intense winds to create that hail that was the size, in some cases, of baseballs. But the good news is we haven't had a lot of that wind, as best we can tell, actually reach the ground out of those storms. And as long as it stays up in the clouds, then our essential output from that is the hail, and that's what we have to deal with. So the severe thunderstorm warning, that's in Randolph County in Illinois. The worst of that's about to push into Perry County. We also have northern Perry County in Missouri, and then southern portions of St. Genevieve County, the southeastern portions of St. Francis County. This is south of Farmington, south of St. Genevieve, still looking at some stormy weather. More storms are coming in, Kay, from the west here, but these aren't severe, at least not yet. We'll start amping things back up in about an hour or two from now.
And, with these new storms already developing to our west, the Cardinals have postponed today's game. It will not happen. It has been rescheduled for a day in August, when we can only hope the weather is much quieter. We do have some new reports of quite a bit of flooding, this time in Jefferson County, Bader Road near DeSoto, seeing considerable flooding. Also the Fletcher area of Jeffco, H and Old H. We have had reports of 6 inches of water on the road. That was from DeSoto Rural Fire Protection District observers. And so you'll want to stay away from H and Old H, and you can only guess if the water is that high there. The surrounding roads as well are going to be affected. So be very careful out in Jefferson County driving.
Yeah, and a lot of low water crossings too. That's one of the things that we're dealing with all this heavy rainfall. As you go southwest of St. Louis, you have very hilly terrain, and you get into the eastern Ozarks, and with that hilly terrain, you have a lot of low water crossings that on most days maybe just a little creek, but then on days like today become kind of a raging 4 or 5 foot deep or deeper before everything, before the water goes back down. Those showers and thunderstorms up to our north and northwest, they're not severe yet, but you see all the warnings already starting out around Lake of the Ozarks. So we don't have a lot of time before the next round starts rolling in, Kay.
And you can see we have our screen there on the right side, upper right side of your screen, a car has become stranded in the road. This is Washington and Broadway in Sparta, Illinois, and this is the situation we've been describing all day. You know, you just do not want to drive into any kind of water on the road. It's impossible to tell how deep it is, whether the road is still stable underneath. And at this point, you know, cars can be carried away. And I'm sure that the motorist is scared to get out because of this water situation. So again, this is Sparta, Broadway at Washington, and it's a situation we'll continue to watch for you.
Yeah, and you know, that's one of the things, Kay, when you don't want to drive in that, and that's probably standing water, the car stalls because of the standing water versus water that's rushing, which becomes a much more dangerous situation. Listen, storms are going to continue to evolve this afternoon and develop over the next couple of hours. Your Weather First team's going to continue in our storm alert coverage throughout the evening hours. We have our regularly scheduled newscast still on track at 4, 5, and 6 o'clock tonight. But you know that as these storms out west start working in and as they provide the potential for additional flooding, additional strong winds, additional hail, and possible tornadoes, we will be back with you as needed, and we'll also be checking in with you on 5+ as we head through this afternoon and continue our coverage. Our crews are out and about. They're being safe. We want you to be safe this afternoon. This is just the first round. There's another round to come before the day is over. It's a good time to review your safety procedures just in case you didn't have to use them so far today. Where's your safe place? Make that plan now so that you're ready when the next round comes in just a little bit. We're coming up on 3 o'clock. We'll see you right back here at 4 on 5 on Your Side.